inevitable tide, participating in the struggle for survival, fundamentally distinct in nature. The inquiring disciple nodded. Let us keep this matter to ourselves. Speaking of it would certainly cost us our heads. The other chuckled. Worry not. No one will overhear us. Unbeknownst to them, the river god lurked in the shallows nearby. With a splash, the river god emerged, a smile gracing his visage as he regarded the two. The disciples' expressions shifted dramatically. How can there be someone hidden in the river? Is that you, Lu? The river god grinned enigmatically, conjuring two luminous orbs. Young gentleman, do you desire the golden power of measure or the silver? The disciples' eyes widened in astonishment. Such treasures could enhance cultivation, extend life, nourish vitality, and augment physical attributes. I choose the golden one. One disciple began to speak, but was halted by his companion. Who are you, daring to eavesdrop on our conversation? The river god chuckled. I am the river god. The river god? The two exchanged bewildered glances. What brings you to the G family? The river god lifted a massive bell, declaring, I am here to eliminate you both and bring an end to the G family. Impudent. The two disciples immediately retaliated, drawing their weapons and charging forward. The river god sneered disdainfully, unleashing imperial might that instantaneously reduced them to mere fragments. He then turned his gaze toward the banquet location, licking his lips before vanishing in an instant. At the front of the Rainbow Sun's sacred palace, a grand banquet was underway, every seat occupied. The leaders of various sects rose to toast the head of the Ji family. We honor the esteemed head of the Yuanming family. Seated prominently, Ji Yuanming beamed with joy as he returned the toast. Today, our Ji family hosts this banquet to welcome the allegiance of all sect leaders. In light of the impending calamity, I hope we can support one another to weather this crisis. The attendees flattered him, head of the Yuanming family. You speak too highly of us. We are merely borrowing the strength of the Ji family. Indeed, head Yuanming, your decision-making is impeccable. You have not only afforded us a sliver of survival, but have also safeguarded the flame of humanity. Yes, under your leadership, the Ji family has flourished these past years. Ji Yuanming beamed broadly, his laughter ringing out. The flattery from the sect leaders struck a chord within him. Following the dismissal of the previous head, Ji Yuanzhong, for errors, the ancient ancestors had placed their trust in Ji Yuanming, appointing him as the new head of the Ji family. He addressed the gathering below. Well said. Let us join forces and strive together for the opportunities that the world presents. The future of the Ji family shall surely dominate the heavens. Nonsense. I see that you have no future. Suddenly, a discordant voice pierced the air. The countenance of everyone present changed. Who dared to disturb the Ji family with such audacity? Ji Yuanming gritted his teeth, scanning the surroundings, yet he could not identify the source of the voice. He stepped forward, his voice laced with fury. Do you have the audacity to speak, yet lack the courage to reveal yourself? Ha! The river god emerged from the void. Stepping into the center of the square, Ji Yuanming advanced, his tone laden with contempt. You possess great courage to brazenly intrude upon the Ji family. Do you truly fear not being subdued? Umph. Do you think your band of worthless scoundrels can hinder me? The river god scoffed. Ji Yuanming's anger flared. With a swift flourish of his sleeve, he summoned a cadre of knights. Seize him. Rows of silver-armored knights emerged from the sacred palace, brandishing sharp weapons as they surged forward. Ants. The river god instantly unleashed his imperial might, sweeping his sleeve to unleash a flurry of blade-like energy. Pucci. In an instant, dozens of fully armed knights were reduced to mere fragments, blood gushing forth. Ji Yuanming was taken aback. These knights served the inner sanctum. The weakest among them was at the level of a holy sovereign, while the highest-ranking knight had already reached quasi-emperor status. Just like that, they were annihilated? Ji Yuanming's anger subsided slightly, for he realized this foe was formidable. With his own strength, he might be struck down in mere moments. It was not worth risking his life for such a trivial family matter. He spoke. What brings you to the Ji family? The river god promptly summoned a massive bell, delivering the bell to the Ji family. Bang, bang, bang. He struck the bell 3 times, emitting a piercing sound wave, the profound resonance of the Tao enveloping the air, shattering the eardrums of all present. Ji Yuanming clutched his ears in agony, his face contorted in terror as he gazed upon the bell. As a high-ranking member, he recognized it at once. It was the relic of the ancient ancestor Wuwang. Realization dawned upon him, and he instinctively recoiled. It was you who killed the ancient ancestor Wuwang. Since this individual could slay an ancestor, he must be a hidden emperor. Could it be that wild slap? He immediately slapped himself. Damn it. I'm glad I stopped myself. Otherwise, I would have been finished. The river god stood high in the air, striking the bell once more. I come at the behest of my master to deliver the Ji family's end. Everyone present, heed my words. None shall escape. Whoever dares to flee shall meet their demise. His eyes narrowed. Did the head of the Ji family dare to take advantage of this moment to flee? Since you wish to run, I shall ensure you do not escape. The river god waved his sleeve, summoning torrents of water to transform into 4 water blades, striking forward. Pucci. The previously unscathed Ji Yuanming was instantly deprived of his limbs, reduced to a wretched state. He howled in agony, pleading, Ancestor, save me. In that instant, A golden coffin soared forth from the sacred palace. It positioned itself before Ji Yuanming, a green light emanating from within and entering Ji Yuanming's body. In the next moment, his limbs began to regenerate slowly. Your Excellency, is it not inappropriate to cause such a disturbance in the Ji family? A voice, aged and resonant, emanated from within the golden coffin. The river god spread his hands, feigning innocence. Oh, I am merely acting under orders. Above the golden coffin, an ethereal visage materialized, radiating an oppressive imperial aura. The elder narrowed his eyes, surveying the river god from head to toe. Upon discerning the essence of the river goddess life, his countenance shifted dramatically. He was indeed a deity, one of imperial caliber. Upon hearing this, Ji Yuanming was so startled that he lost control. AA Imperial. The elder's apparition glanced at the enormous bell nearby, a thought crossing his mind. Could it be that you are the mysterious emperor? I never anticipated you to be a no. The river god shook his head. I am merely a deity conferred by my master. The emperor himself is currently traveling abroad. What? The elder's spirit quivered. To think that merely a subordinate of that person would possess such imperial cultivation? The more he pondered, the more unsettling it became. Could it be that he had indeed acquired the legacy of the former Emperor Xinyuan? It is said that within the Heavenly Emperor's palace, there exist 4 living deities personally conferred by the great Emperor Xinyuan. They have survived for millions of years, immortal and eternally powerful. Seeing the elder lost in thought, the river god, impatient, interjected, Hey, why are you dazed? I have not finished speaking. The elder snapped back to reality, fixing his solemn gaze upon the river god. If this individual truly was one of those deities, it appeared that a bloody battle was inevitable today. Naturally, a peaceful resolution was also an option, considering he was not at his zenith. Any exertion would only harm his essence. Yet, in the next moment, the elder's naive hope was shattered. The river god waved his large sleeve and produced a scroll of golden edict, addressing the emperor of the Ji family. Old Bai, kneel and receive the decree. Chapter 171. Sovereign of the realm. Before the Hongyang sacred palace, everyone held their breath, afraid to make a sound. All present were astonished by the river god's proclamation. The Ji family, a lineage passed down since the primordial era, loomed like a mighty lion over the heavens and earth. Though diminished from its former glory, it still boasted several emperors among its ranks, firmly securing its position as the sovereign over the 3,000 states. Now, they were being audaciously provoked. A chilling malice seeped forth from the golden coffin, leaving all cultivators present feeling as though they had plunged into an icy abyss, trembling with fear. The elder spoke in a deep voice, Friend, you have overstepped. The river god remained unfazed, stating, In any case, this is how my master instructed me. If you do not kneel, it will be difficult for me to proceed. Unless you wish for me to stain the Ji family with blood. The elder, incensed, retorted. You truly possess great audacity, intruding upon the sacred ground of the Ji family, and daring to act so arrogantly. Do you think there is no one to oppose you in the Ji family? If it's difficult, then let it be. The elder declared as he suddenly thrust his palm forward. A colossal handprint, comparable to a mountain, appeared, shrouded in thick smoke, pressing down upon the river god. It seems you have chosen to defy me. The river god smirked, narrowing his eyes. As the enormous palm rushed toward him, he drew forth a silver axe from his robes and swung it with one hand, stirring the celestial starlight, charging forward to meet the attack. Boom. The clash of these two formidable beings sent tremors throughout the entire sacred city. In the space between the two entities, a fragmented void emerged, with the residual waves of axe light and palm imprints surging outward in all directions. The surrounding mountains and lakes were uprooted, soaring into the heavens. The inhabitants of the holy city gazed in terror at the sky, where hundreds of mountains and lakes coalesced, suspended in midair. The chasm in the earth was filled with nothingness, radiating a brilliant starlight. In that moment, heaven and earth were completely inverted. This was the imperial battle. Flee. Countless souls were engulfed by this energy, their bodies shattering despite being tens of thousands of miles from the epicenter of the conflict, meeting untimely demise. The river god, bearing the imperial decree of Ji Xian, advanced slowly. With each step, boundless waves of water surged, sweeping through the 9 heavens. Ji Shui had existed for countless millennia, long since becoming a sentient being. As one of the guardian spirits of the Ji family, he now wholly obeyed the river god's command, unleashing a tumultuous tide upon the Ji family's emperor. The elder's ethereal form was struck, spewing forth a pool of golden blood, being merely a thought manifestation. He could not harness his true strength. Yet, allowing his true body to emerge prematurely would lead to catastrophic consequences. He had no choice but to fight. Confronted with the overwhelming threat, retreat was not an option. The golden coffin radiated a dazzling light, gently trembling, and the lid began to slide open. An elder adorned with a golden crown struggled to rise, his face devoid of color, appearing exceedingly frail. This was Ji Wuxian, another emperor of the Ji family. Millions of years ago, he had sealed himself away, awaiting the opportune moment to re-emerge. The river god, wielding a silver axe of creation, pressed forward. Upon seeing the aged figure, he let out a derisive laugh. What a surprise. I thought I was facing a formidable foe. Yet it's merely an old relic that should have long returned to the earth. Ha ha ha. Hold. Ji Wuxian stood tall, his entire being ablaze with golden light. His eyes emitting twin beams of golden radiance that transformed into two true dragons, charging towards the river god. True dragon technique. The river god inhaled sharply, his expression shifting for the first time. Such a technique was not unknown to him. He dared not underestimate it. Drawing forth another golden axe, and crossing both supreme weapons before him. Clang. The harsh sound of metal colliding resonated as the two true dragons spiraled in the air, exhaling searing dragon breath that struck the colossal axe. Although these dragons were merely manifestations of divine powers, the inherent pressure of the celestial lineage forced the river god back several paces. However, something was amiss. It was not the complete true dragon technique. The anticipated predicament did not transpire, as the river god quickly discerned the peculiarity of this technique. While it bore the semblance of the true dragon technique, its essence was flawed. Hey, old bidding, you startled me. The river god shattered the two true dragons with a punch and swung the divine axe once more. The elder exhaled a murky haze, transforming it into a dark yellow sword to counter the assault. The two combatants clashed once again, and in an instant, sword light and axe brilliance filled the expanse. There was even a chance that the divine radiance produced from the battle breached the barriers of reality. Soaring into the depths of the cosmic starry sky. Boom. Several colossal stars were struck by divine light, shattering explosively into countless fragments that plummeted towards the 3,000 states. The earth, mountains, and rivers were violently upheaved. Though the Ji family's sacred city possessed an unparalleled defensive array, it had now utterly failed. Rows of houses along the streets were uprooted, soaring skyward like waves. This was a terrifying battle, one from which no soul could survive the aftermath. A conflict among emperors had not transpired for hundreds of thousands of years. Only today did the populace recall the dread that once gripped them under imperial might. Old Bai Deng, you are doomed. The river god ascended, surrounded by turbulent waves, with celestial bodies beneath his feet. He hurled a golden axe, descending like a radiant star. With a cough of blood, Ji Wuxian felt his bones shatter and his internal organs pulverized. Having just awakened, he lacked vitality. And his strength was not what it once was. Now engaged in such a fierce battle, even he could not endure. The golden star descended, and the Xianhuang's sword rose defiantly, its golden edge meeting the onslaught. The resounding clamor of clashing metal echoed, as the two emperor-grade weapons collided. With a clang, the silver axe pressed down, overwhelming the Xianhuang's sword and sending it flying. Under the oppressive aura of this ultimate force, Ji Wuxian's legs slowly buckled. Observers standing outside the city were aghast. Could it be that someone could force an emperor to kneel? What a bizarre occurrence. Ancestor, do not kneel. A member of the Ji family surged from the crowd, tears of blood streaming from his eyes. The other cultivators echoed his sentiments. The ancient lineage of the Ji family had endured through the ages, fighting for humanity. No one wished to see them suffer again. The rise and fall of the Ji family mirrored that of humankind. Should Ji Wuxian kneel today, it would signify the Ji family's submission to the Shantian Dao sect. An emperor could never kneel. With golden hair billowing and eyes crimson with rage, Ji Wuxian could not bear such humiliation. He contemplated self-detonating his soul, intending to perish alongside the river god. The river god's eyes flashed with intensity. You refuse to kneel? You must kneel today? Offending the Xian emperor and still wishing to live. The decree of the emperor. The golden parchment on his back seemed to heed a summons. Soaring forth and unfurling like a scroll. Enormous golden characters manifested in the air, each imbued with immense divine might. The onlookers glimpsed the ethereal figure of a man in white, standing atop the scroll, impassively gazing down at Ji Wuxian. He spoke softly, and in an instant, divine sounds reverberated through the heavens. This is the decree of the emperor, the Xian emperor, to inform the Ji family. Ji Wuwang's life is at its end. He has perished in the primordial forbidden zone. The emperor dispatches deities to return the emperor weapons and deliver a bell to the Ji family. A decade has passed, and the emperor harbors deep concern for the younger generations, Yuan Zhong and Ming Hao, and hopes they are well cared for. In due time, the emperor will personally visit to retrieve them. The decree, akin to a heavenly edict, pressed down upon the skies, subduing even the sun at the horizon. Outside the sacred city, the cultivators who heard these words could not help but bend their knees and bow in reverence. None dared to resist this overwhelming power. Crack! At this very moment, Ji Wuxian's legs sank into the ground, his head crashing down as well. You wretched bastard! I shall have you dead. Ji Wuxian roared in fury, filled with indignation. How could the esteemed emperor of the Ji family kneel before a person of unknown origin? A radiant glow emanated from his brow, as his spirit threatened to explode. Humph! The white-clad apparition above snorted coldly. Though merely a manifestation of divine decree, it seemed to possess life at that moment. The aura of a dragon surged around the figure, akin to a celestial emperor descending from the heavens. A dragon claw shot forth, striking Ji Wuxian's body directly. Crack! Crack! The sound of bones fracturing echoed repeatedly, contorting Ji Wuxian's once proud visage. He felt the overwhelming force, a flicker of terror crossing his features. This was the complete and unblemished dragon treasure technique. How could this be? The white-clad apparition proclaimed, "Nothing is impossible." Die. As divine light surged, Ji Wuxian's eyes gradually dimmed. When the dust settled, only a lifeless corpse remained. Outside the city, there were no screams of terror, only an eerie silence prevailed. The cultivators were rendered speechless, having witnessed the fall of an emperor, slain by nothing more than a scroll of decree. Chapter 172. A great shock to the world in Hanyang's sacred city, chaos reigned. The earth had collapsed deeply, with molten lava erupting and billowing thick black smoke. The once grand city now bore no intact structures, only shattered walls and ruins. A sight too harrowing to behold. In the dimness of the world, a single scroll of golden parchment emitted a dazzling divine light, dominating the darkness and suppressing all. The cultivators outside the city had buried their heads in the ground, trembling legs refusing to rise. They marveled at the cataclysmic battle between emperors, which had utterly obliterated a city that had stood for eons, had it not been for the great formation within the city fiercely resisting. The aftermath of the battle would have already swept across the entire continent, impacting billions of lives. Inside the city, Ji Xian's figure had long since vanished, leaving only the golden scroll suspended in midair. The river god surveyed the surrounding ruins, ensuring no living beings remained, and with satisfaction, he clapped his hands. A job well done. Gazing at the distant bustling town, he had initially intended to indulge himself there. However, Ji Xian had previously conveyed to him that the army of Ming Mountain was employing extreme imperial weapons against Jinyan Mountain, prompting him to eliminate the Yinyang Holy Land before returning to investigate. Alas, his amusement was cut short. He pouted, feeling somewhat discontented. But imperial commands were not to be disobeyed. He could only return first. With a flick of his hand, the Xian Huang sword, embedded in the ruins, flew towards him. A fine weapon, he praised, stowing it away. Water pooled on the ground, forming a curtain as he vanished from sight. After some time, the prostrate cultivators outside the city finally struggled to rise. As they beheld the devastated sacred city, their hearts were in disarray, filled with profound despair. If even the mighty Ji family could be so thoroughly humiliated, what fate awaited their smaller factions? Recalling that astonishing battle of the empires, a sense of trepidation enveloped the disciples of various sects, as an unsettling worry took root within their hearts. Who, after all, was the figure known as the Xian Emperor? His visage bore a striking resemblance to that of a cultivator from the human race. Yet, could he truly fight on behalf of humanity? If not, what fate awaited the realms of the 9 heavens and 10 earths? After all, 2 emperors had already been slain. What other sinister events might yet unfold? Sighs of despair echoed among the cultivators, heavy with resignation. In their insignificance, they sensed that an era of chaos was imminent. The sects hastily retreated, transforming the once joyous banquet of the Ji family into a scene of lamentation, leaving no soul untouched by the gravity of the moment. In the ensuing 2 months, news of the Xintian Dao sect's assault on the Ji family reverberated throughout the 9 heavens and 10 earths, while the name of the Xian Emperor soared to celestial heights, reaching the ears of every cultivator. Who else could boast such prowess? Emerging to slay an emperor upon their arrival, the Xintian Dao sect ascended like a newly risen star, illuminating the vast expanse of the world. In a brief span, heroes from all corners and wandering cultivators congregated, eager to journey to the wild state and pay homage to this great emperor, to behold his majestic presence. However, upon traversing the treacherous mountains, they discovered that the wild state had already descended into utter chaos. The forces of the Ming Mountains surged forth, launching rapid assaults on the surrounding states, wreaking havoc and causing rivers of blood to flow. Some cultivators, barely approaching, were pierced through by the lances of Ming Mountain's knights, their blood staining the skies. Witnessing the carnage that darkened the heavens, the assembly of cultivators could do naught but flee in haste, distancing themselves from that cursed land. Before long, news of the Ming Mountains' assault on the 3,000 states spread like wildfire. This was yet another momentous revelation, stirring unrest among the eternal-level sacred grounds. In times of yore, the Ming Mountain had instigated turmoil, repeatedly bringing about cataclysmic upheavals that left the world in desolation. Millions of years prior, the Ming Mountain sought to bridge the realms of the underworld, threatening to disrupt the 3 realms. The Xianyuan Emperor, uniting with other emperors, launched a formidable counteroffensive against the Ming Mountain, ultimately slaying the Fengdu Emperor and quelling the crisis. Millions of years ago, the 9 emperors of the Ming Mountain emerged, under the banner of the comet, to invade the 3,000 states. The long-vanished Sword Emperor reawakened from the ancient era, his blade illuminating the 9 states, bringing peace to the tumultuous seas of the divine. Today, with the resurgence of the Ming Mountain, their slaughtering momentum is fearsome. Are we to witness the return of the shadows of yesteryear? With 2 generations of heavenly emperors long past, where now lies the current heavenly emperor? No one knows, nor dares to speak of it. All await the emergence of an authoritative figure or organization to quell the turmoil. In the ethereal realm of Biluo, within a towering ancient hall, An elderly man donned in red robes sat regally at the forefront, his countenance benevolent, his hair and beard as white as snow. He was Wen Di, the vice leader of the Emperor Alliance. He addressed the cultivators below. What are your thoughts on the matter of the Ming Mountain? A robust man rose in response, declaring, what great matters could arise. If you ask me, let the soldiers meet the soldiers. Let the waters be contained by the earth. We should march forth and confront them head on. With that, he gripped his staff tightly and struck it down forcefully. A young man stepped forth from behind him, clad in scholarly attire, his brow betraying an air of gallantry. Wei Qi Zhishun, you brutish fellow. All you know is violence. In this era, where no heavenly emperor has attained enlightenment, how can we possibly engage in direct conflict with the Ming Mountain? Wei Qi Zhishun cast a sidelong glance at him and inquired, what do you propose? The young man inclined his head slightly towards the emperor when above, and then spoke. In my humble opinion, it would be prudent to first observe the movements of the Xian emperor, as his Dao lineage resides at the very heart of that battlefield. Upon hearing this, the eyes of Emperor Wen sparkled with interest, and he nodded slightly. Recently, the sensational news of the Xian emperor's victory over the emperors of the Ji family had been the talk of the realm. According to the customary practices of the Imperial Alliance, they would ordinarily dispatch representatives to coordinate promptly. However, given the pressing matters at the borders and the preparations being made by various sacred grounds for their emergence, this issue had naturally been delayed. Noticing Emperor Wen's affirmation, Wei Qi Zhishun refrained from further discussion, as he was not particularly adept at strategic thinking. Rumors had circulated that the Xian emperor had slain two formidable emperors of the Ji family, inciting a desire within some to challenge him. Upon hearing this, the young man's brow furrowed. The Xian emperor was indeed powerful, and he had witnessed the prowess of those two elders from the Ji family. They were no weaklings. The fact that he single-handedly vanquished them was truly beyond his expectations. He then shifted his tone, teasing Wei Qi Zhishun. You, black turtle, might as well step aside. Wei Qi Zhishun's face twitched with suppressed anger. Suddenly, a woman's voice, laced with a haughty tone, broke through. Rumors are merely rumors. Strength can only be judged upon meeting him in person. With a resounding crash, the grand doors of the ancient hall burst open, unleashing a tempest of snowflakes that swirled around, crystallizing into the silhouette of a stunningly beautiful woman. Her long white hair cascaded like a galaxy, framing her striking features, and her red lips accentuated her porcelain skin, exuding an alluring grace. Her figure was voluptuous, and 9 fluffy tails emerged from beneath her flowing skirt, trailing behind her. Snow Empress, you have arrived, greeted Emperor Wen. The Snow Empress nodded, surveying the hall before asking, are we only the 4 of us? Emperor Wen affirmed. They lie in their coffins, likely to emerge in a few years. The young man chimed in playfully. I've heard that the Xian emperor is quite handsome. Perhaps it is time for you to shed the title of a million-year-old maiden, Snow Empress? The Snow Empress blinked her enchanting eyes, her fox ears perking up slightly. Throughout history, no man has ever bested me. What does it matter how handsome he may be? He is merely a decorative vase. A vein of annoyance throbbed on the young man's forehead as he recalled his early days in the Imperial Alliance, when he had flirted with the Snow Empress and nearly met his demise had it not been for Emperor Wen's intervention. Emperor Wen addressed the group. Since you are here, take some time to recuperate. There have been unusual occurrences at the borders, and we shall proceed there in a few days. As for the Xiantian Dao sect, we will wait a while longer before sending someone. Understood, they all replied, acknowledging Emperor Wen's directives. Chapter 173. The Reincarnation's Sacred Body within the profound void of the tunnel. The fearless divine palanquin sped forward at an astonishing pace. It had been over half a year since they departed from the Taichu Forbidden Zone, and Ji Xian and his companions had returned to the fringes of the 3,000 states from the Tianzhou territory. Their journey had been marred by numerous bloody conflicts, as many great sects entered secret realms to seize treasures, often igniting fierce battles that led to the annihilation of entire sections. The common folk suffered greatly, living in a state of turmoil and unrest. The slaughter, conflict, and turmoil extend beyond the confines of the primordial Forbidden Zone, rapidly spreading across the world like dry leaves igniting in flames. During this tumultuous period, numerous bandit factions set their sights on the fearless divine chariot, trailing closely behind in hopes of seizing treasures. However, they were all ruthlessly vanquished by Sun Huang and Ling Yun. With a whoosh, the void tunnel opened, and the fearless divine chariot arrived at its final destination, the Qingguang city of Ningzhou. It was here that they first encountered Xiaodou years ago, and now, after more than a decade, they returned once more. This city thrived due to its convenient transportation and has expanded significantly in the intervening years, now at least 2 to 3 times its original size. The streets were bustling with cultivators of diverse attire, as if they hailed from all corners of the earth. After stowing away the fearless divine chariot, Ji Xian resolved to rest for a couple of days, sensing a peculiar aura in the air. Fenglage, the city's premier restaurant, housed them within a luxurious guest room. Ji Xian sat cross-legged upon a mat, his eyes gently closed, with the sun, moon, and stars swirling behind him. Enveloped in an ethereal mist akin to colorful fog, Sun Huang and Ao Tian approached and bowed respectfully. Master, We shall take our leave now. Ji Xian nodded in agreement, opening his eyes to gaze fondly upon the two sisters asleep on his lap. That night, the sky was adorned with twinkling stars. The third month of the lunar calendar illuminating the scene below, where countless lights sparkled like jewels. The lively sounds of vendors echoed from both sides of the street, with the appetizing aromas of grilled meats and snacks wafting through the air, nearly entrancing Ao Tian. He turned to Sun Huang and inquired, "Monkey, why does the young master wish to linger here for a few days? We are on the doorstep of home. Why not return directly?" With his mouth full of peaches, Sun Huang replied, "With that walnut-sized brain of yours, it's a wonder you can comprehend anything. The wasteland has already fallen, and it is rapidly encroaching upon surrounding states. The master clearly intends to use this place as a base to rally forces and strike back." Ao Tian was further perplexed. With the young master's strength, does he truly need to prepare? Wouldn't it be easier to push through immediately? Sun Huang answered, "I have studied the Master's divine avatar of the underworld, granting me acute sensitivity to the underworld's energy. Here, I sense a chilling, ghostly aura that is quite unusual. Do not speculate aimlessly. The master is well aware of his intentions." Nodding in understanding, Ao Tian refrained from further questioning. As he raised his head, a familiar figure caught his eye. It was a man with waxy skin, dressed in pristine white garments, his complexion rosy. His hair retained its previous withered appearance, yet his cheeks were slightly plump, suggesting he had gained some weight. Before him, a boy and a girl skipped joyfully along the path. "Daddy, I want to buy candied hawthorn," the little girl chimed, looking back with a smile. "All right, Daddy will get you some," the man replied as he approached a vendor to converse. Ao Tian nudged Sun Huang in the side, urging him to look ahead. Sun Huang, upon raising his gaze, was immediately taken aback. "What the hell, Xiaodou?" he exclaimed, striding forward to embrace her. "Damn it. You even have children now." Sun Huang laughed broadly. Initially startled, Xiaodou tensed up, but upon recognizing Sun Huang, she relaxed and burst into laughter as well. "Oh, it is indeed you, Lord Monkey. It has been quite some time." He shifted his gaze to his children below, a proud smile gracing his face. "After more than a decade, such is the nature of our mortal existence." Sun Huang nodded, inquiring about his current state. "No porters dare to bully you any longer, I hope." Little Dou replied, "The porters are far too perilous. With a wife and children, one must refrain from such reckless adventures. I have secured a modest position within the Lord's estate, which is rather comfortable." Ao Tian approached, exchanging pleasantries as well. After a decade apart, there was indeed a sense of longing. The trio engaged in lively conversation, laughter echoing around them. Suddenly, a furious voice erupted. "Who dares to collide with me?" A towering figure clad in a blue robe adorned with the constellation of the Big Dipper approached. Before him stood a young girl of 4 or 5, her eyes glistening with tears. She gazed at the fallen candied hawthorn, unable to contain her sobs. "How dare you cry?" The man in the starry robe seized the girl by her neck, lifting her off the ground. Cough, cough. "Daddy." The girl, caught in that powerful grip, turned purple, on the verge of suffocation. Upon witnessing this, Little Dou's expression shifted dramatically, paling in horror. He rushed forward, grasping the man's garment, and shouted angrily, "Who are you? Release my child at once." The star-robed man, with a flicker of divine light behind him, pushed Little Dou aside. What does a mere mortal think he can interfere in the affairs of this young master? Little Dou stumbled backward, collapsing against a stall, utterly disheveled. "This is intolerable." Sun Huang erupted in fury, producing a quasi-imperial weapon with a resounding clang, his dark aura surging as he prepared to retaliate. Just as he was about to act, a figure darted forward, wielding a blue seal, and with a gentle press sent the assailant sprawling several yards away. The man deftly caught the falling girl, offering her comfort before placing her back into Little Dou's arms. "Thank you, my lord." Little Dou attempted to kneel, but the man stopped him. "There is no need for such formality over a trivial matter. Besides, I have my own grievances with that man." The figure, garbed in a long green robe, possessed a tall, elegant stature, with flowing black hair and a remarkably handsome visage. "Sure, Tianyu, do you dare strike me? Do you truly believe that the title of Young Master of the Reincarnation Sanctuary grants you immunity?" The man who had been struck struggled to his feet, seething with rage. Sure, Tianyu smiled slightly. If an elder from the Tianxian Sanctuary were present, perhaps they might have the standing to utter such words. But a mere outer sect young master is hardly worthy. The star-robed man sneered. "Ah, enemies meet," their eyes filled with animosity. "Since the Tianxian Sanctuary and the Reincarnation Sanctuary are at war, we should not remain idle." Sure, Tianyu shook his head. "Do not misunderstand. The reason you can still stand here after my blow is that I wish to spare this little one from witnessing bloodshed." The star-robed man, consumed by fury, retorted, "Arrogance. Newly appointed as a young master, and already so presumptuous. Today, I shall." His words abruptly halted, giving way to a voice filled with despair. "Ah, my hand, my skin." Sun Huang and Ao Tian turned their gazes toward that direction. They beheld a man clad in a starry robe, a reincarnation mark shimmering atop his head. The force of time swiftly spread, enveloping the man in an instant. Almost immediately, his skin aged rapidly. His once black hair transformed into silver threads in the blink of an eye, and his robust physique withered away to a frail form. The young and vigorous lad had, in mere moments, turned into a decrepit old man. The two exchanged a glance, their hearts filled with trepidation, the power of time. At the same moment, Ji Xian, seated in his guest chamber, abruptly opened his eyes, which seemed to contain the flickering of countless stars. Two beams of divine light shot forth, seemingly piercing through the vast void. The figure of the man in the green robe soon appeared within his line of sight. The Reincarnation's Sacred Body. Chapter 174. The might of the sacred body within the confines of the inn's guest room. Ji Xian sat in meditation, his divine sight attuned to perceive all. At that moment, he was scrutinizing the primordial mark of the Reincarnation's Sacred Body. Moments later, he summoned the four, Fu, Lu, Shou, and Shi. Great Master, how may we serve you? They inquired, clad in colorful official robes of red, yellow, blue, and green, standing before Ji Xian, their demeanor cautious and awkward. Compared to Ji Xian's towering figure, their diminutive stature was accentuated starkly. I ask you, what do you know about the Reincarnation's Sacred Body? Ji Xian inquired. Xiao Lu stepped forward, adjusting his green robe. The Reincarnation's Sacred Body is one of the most formidable physiques from ancient times. It is intrinsically linked to the eternal path, capable of wielding the power of time through its essence, and it can break through barriers with remarkable swiftness, truly extraordinary. In the days of the Immortal Court, there existed an immortal force known as the Reincarnation Sanctuary, reputed to have produced individuals who attained immortality through this physique. Ji Xian nodded. The Wudao Tiangong Dadian also records this physique, albeit with some discrepancies compared to your account. The Reincarnation Sacred Body must endure a reincarnation tribulation with each significant breakthrough. Each tribulation is perilous, and a moment's inattention could lead to demise. This sacred body embodies the pure essence of the eternal path, its strength even surpassing that of Ji Mingho's void sword body. However, at that moment, Ji Xian's gaze fell upon Shi Tianyu, who was shrouded in a cloud of dark energy, a manifestation of impending calamity. Yet, this dark energy possessed an oddity, seemingly unrelated to the essence of the Reincarnation's Sacred Body. Forget it. I shall plant a mark and observe henceforth, he declared, as he pointed his fingertip, sending forth a golden mark that melded into Shi Tianyu's being. Meanwhile, Shi Tianyu remained oblivious to the presence that had entered his body. Great Master, have you made any discoveries? To recruit someone with such a physique as a subordinate would promise boundless prospects. Xiao Fu inquired eagerly. Ji Xian gestured towards Shi Tianyu. The Reincarnation's Sacred Body is right there. The others turned to look, only to find a dull, gray wall before them. What does this mean, Great Master? Could it be that the Reincarnation's Sacred Body will, like that monkey, leap forth from the wall? Xiao Fu speculated, his expression grave. As he murmured, I never imagined that the legendary Reincarnation's Sacred Body in this life would merely be a wall. Then he whispered to the three individuals beside him. Later, dismantle that wall and move it away. Yes, big brother. The trio responded in unison. Ji Xian continued to observe the commotion over there. The path of time was exceedingly intricate, and even with his understanding, he needed to ponder it thoroughly. The argument between Shi Tianyu and the group from the Tianxian Holy Land escalated into a fierce confrontation in less than a moment. Meanwhile, Sun Huang and Ao Tian were also preparing to test their skills. Suddenly, Ji Xian noticed the unrest surrounding them. Numerous factions were covertly eyeing Sun Huang and Ao Tian, exuding a chilling aura of hostility. Interesting, they have set their sights on me, Ji Xian remarked with a cold smile. The renowned Xiantian Dao sect attracted envy from many, and in their eyes, the sect's abrupt rise must be accompanied by great fortune. They would not relent until the secret was unveiled. Subsequently, Ji Xian communicated telepathically with the disciples in other rooms. Come over here. Within moments, Horlinger, Ling Yun, and Ing Zheng entered. You three, retrieve Sun Huang and Ao Tian. If you encounter any troubles, feel free to act without hesitation. Understood, they replied in unison before turning to leave. A soft, rhythmic snoring emanated from Ji Xian's lap. Wait, Ji Xian called out to the departing trio. Master, is there anything else? Ling Yun inquired. Ji Xian lifted the two sisters and tossed them over. Bring them along as well. As the sisters flew through the air, Ing Zheng's eyes sparkled, and he quickly summoned the dragon pattern cauldron to catch them. With a clang and a thud, the sisters landed perfectly inside the cauldron. Ouch, that hurts. Why is Master's leg so hard? One complained. Sister, you just swore. Meanwhile, Shi Tianyu and several disciples from the Tianxian Holy Land were already engaged in battle. A dignified eternal-level Holy Land sends a few outer disciples to test me. Has their foundation been depleted? Shi Tianyu bellowed, the reincarnation treasure seal in his hand shimmering with a ghostly blue light as he shattered the heads of several disciples. Two divine halos ignited behind him, releasing the aura of a holy master without reservation. Arrogant, I shall strike you down. An elder from the Tianxian Holy Land charged forward, wielding a massive star, ready to smash it down. The resounding boom echoed through the air. The star, forged from true divine gold, weighed as much as mountains and descended with a howl. The houses along the street crumbled at the sound, disintegrating into countless wooden splinters under the immense pressure. As he gazed at the slowly descending star, Shi Tianyu's brow furrowed. The energy fluctuations were comparable to that of a holy sovereign, and it might even brush against the threshold of a great saint. Suddenly, a 1,000-foot-long black gold iron rod appeared, rooted in the ground like a pillar supporting the heavens, firmly resisting the star. Sun Huang laughed. Hey, brother, don't be afraid. We are here to help. Ao Tian stepped forward as well, summoning a golden spear to strike. In an instant, waves of blue, red, and gold energy surged forth like an ocean, enveloping the entire central urban area. The elder who summoned the great star changed his expression. How could 3 minor cultivators at the Holy Lord realm possess such formidable power? The weapon he had invoked was a quasi-imperial artifact, a gift bestowed by a revered figure within the sect for the purpose of vanquishing Shi Tianyu. To his astonishment, it was effortlessly thwarted. Break! The 3 cultivators exerted their strength in unison, their furious roars resonating through the air as they resisted the overwhelming pressure of the quasi-imperial weapon, collectively sending it flying. You old scoundrel, you seek death. I shall bury you. Shi Tianyu clasped his hands together, and an image of a sundial manifested behind him, causing the temporal laws around to fluctuate violently. In the blink of an eye, he appeared before the elder, delivering 3 successive blows that left the Tianxian elder battered and bloodied. Ah! The elder shrieked in agony, unable to withstand Shi Tianyu's might. The bones within him aged further under the influence of time. After enduring a barrage of attacks, the elder could bear no more and was obliterated on the spot. Ha ha! Splendid. A dignified Holy Realm cultivator bullying mere children. He deserved his fate. Sun Huang laughed heartily, feeling immensely satisfied. At the same time, he took note of Shi Tianyu, who had effortlessly slain an elder of the Holy Venerable Realm while transcending 2 major realms, an astonishing feat indeed. In terms of smaller realms, this was akin to surpassing nearly 20 levels. Though such accomplishments were not insurmountable, they still evoked admiration. In the forthcoming great contest, Shi Tianyu would undoubtedly emerge as a formidable adversary. Suddenly, Sun Huang's ears rang, and he snapped back to reality, witnessing a transparent figure wielding a sword flying towards him. The sword's radiance was extraordinarily swift. In an instant, it was poised at Ao Tian's brow. Dodge, you slippery eel. With a whoosh, the sword's brilliance sliced through the air. A chilling aura of murder pervading the atmosphere, instilling fear in all present. Sun Huang shouted in alarm, but it was too late. The icy tip of the sword had already reached Ao Tian's brow, the very location of the primordial spirit. While the physical body could be reconstructed, the destruction of the primordial spirit left no hope for survival. Shi Tianyu reacted with remarkable speed, his countenance paling. He could manipulate a modicum of temporal power and rushed forward to provide aid. The reincarnation mark in his embrace trembled gently, imperial intent surging forth. And everything around him came to a standstill. All cultivators froze, their previous motions suspended in time. In that moment, the space within a radius of several hundred miles was rendered in shades of black and white, with Shi Tianyu standing as the sole beacon of light. Ah! He let out a thunderous roar, his long hair swirling wildly as he channeled all his sacred energy, pushing the path of time to its zenith. His entire being was enveloped in a blue divine radiance, as if on the verge of combustion. Get away. In the next breath, he stepped forward, appearing before Ao Tian, his hands forming the reincarnation seal, and struck forcefully ahead. Clang! The killing sword was sent flying, embedding itself in a nearby pavilion, which crumbled into dust instantly, no longer existing. At that moment, the black and white veil receded like a tide, the world returning to its former state, and everything reverted to the original point in time. Sun Huang retained a chilling expression, while Ao Tian appeared utterly bewildered. The transparent figure, interrupted by the spell, materialized into a corporeal form. It was a woman clad in white, adorned with a red mole at her brow, possessing an exquisite beauty, yet her aura of malevolence was unmistakable. Quick to react, the woman summoned a talisman, leaving behind an illusion, and then retreated several hundred jom. Shi Tianyu sensed the ominous energy, his eyes narrowed as he bellowed, "Assassin Divine Sect." At his words, Ao Tian and Sun Huang paused, recalling something. The Assassin Divine Sect seemed to be the very force that had attacked them over a decade ago, in the spatial tunnel. At that time, they had attempted to drag their master into a perilous situation, and had it not been for Xiao Dou, they would have faced dire consequences. Now, their master Ji Xian had already ascended to emperor status, yet they still dared to strike. Assassin Divine Sect, do you also wish to meddle in this affair? Shi Tianyu's long hair billowed as he reprimanded fiercely. The woman smiled lightly. Young Master Shi, if someone offers a handsome price to kill you, what can I do? As for those 2 beside you, their bounty is even greater. Oh, how infuriating! Sun Huang exclaimed, scratching his head, turmoil swirling around him. Ao Tian stepped forward, scoffing. How laughable. Do you think your kind, lurking like rats in the shadows, can threaten us? The woman shook her head. Little dragon, it is not merely us. As she spoke, a dozen figures emerged from the darkness, their attire varied, hailing from various grand sections. Instantly, a chilling aura of hostility and oppressive tension filled the street. causing other cultivators to withdraw hastily. Heavens, what is happening in Xinguang City today? Why have so many powerful factions arrived? The Sword Pavilion, the Yinyang Holy Land, and the Flying Rainbow sect had all come, merely to hunt a few minor cultivators in the Saint Master realm? It seemed implausible. The cultivators fled in haste, none daring to remain in this tempestuous arena. An elder from the Sword Pavilion stepped forward, addressing Shi Tianyu below. Young master, we have no intention of making enemies with you. We only wish to eliminate the two small demons beside you. Please withdraw. Shi Tianyu retorted. What if I refuse to retreat? Would your Sword Pavilion dare to harm me? If you move against us today, I assure you, my father will retaliate against the Sword Pavilion. The elder chuckled. This is the decree of the great Emperor Dugu. We cannot defy it. Your father and our pavilion master are both great emperors. I trust you comprehend the stakes involved. Upon hearing this, other cultivators turned their gazes towards Sun Huang and Ao Tian, astonished that two cultivators in the Saint Master realm could attract the attention of an emperor. Did they possess some secret treasure? Just then, several figures emerged from the alley, their eyes fixated hungrily on the two. Sun Huang glanced dismissively, finally resting his gaze on a figure clad in black robes. Why did the ghastly energy he sensed earlier resonate so closely with this person's aura? I'll confront him later, he resolved. At that moment, the people from the Yinyang Holy Land also made their entrance. You two little wretches shall meet your demise here today. As retribution for the great hatred of my sect's destruction. Destruction of your sect? What destruction? Ao Tian was bewildered. Aside from their interactions with the Ji family and the Taichu Forbidden Zone, it seemed they had no connection with the Yinyang Holy Land. Shi Tianyu explained. A few days ago, a deity claiming to belong to the Xiantian Holy Land wreaked havoc in the Yinyang Holy Land, leaving no survivors among the sect. It is suspected that he even slayed an ancient ancestor who had not fully awakened, and all the 100 holy mountains of the Yinyang Holy Land were submerged. This group of individuals must have been out training and thus escaped this catastrophe. At this point, Shi Tianyu suddenly realized and turned to the two, asking, Are you disciples of the Xiantian Dao sect? Yes, what of it? Sun Huang replied. Shi Tianyu's expression brightened, filled with excitement as he secretly transmitted a message to the two. Does this mean that the Xian Emperor is currently in Xinguang City? Sun Huang, reluctant to divulge his master's whereabouts, shook his head and replied, My master is elusive. I do not know where he is. Perhaps he is nearby, observing the commotion. Or perhaps he is engaged in battle with some great emperor in the cosmos. Shi Tianyu nodded, his expression sobering somewhat. He had ventured out to seek the remarkable individuals across the realms of the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Among them, the illustrious achievements of the Xian Emperor deeply inspired him, and encountering that being was the ultimate purpose of his journey to this desolate borderland of the 3,000 states. However, time was on his side. There was no urgency in this matter. Meanwhile, in the guest room, Ji Xian sat cross-legged, absorbing the essence of heaven and earth. Ever vigilant of the situation in the city, to eliminate a few cultivators at the Saint Master level, the Sword Pavilion even deployed a great saint. How amusing. Similarly, he sensed the ghostly aura emanating from the figure in the black robe, reminiscent of the one hovering above Shi Tianyu. Ji Xian snapped his fingers, and a knight clad in silver armor stepped forth, radiating a faint imperial might. Keep a close watch. If necessary, take action. Spare no one except that black-robed little cultivator. Understood. Ji Xian seemed to recall something and added, Oh, and remember, capture them alive. Do not return with mere puddles of flesh. The silver-armored knight scratched his neck, stood upright, saluted Ji Xian, and then vanished from sight. Chapter 176. Encirclement within Xinguang City, hundreds of streets were uprooted, and countless houses shattered due to the fierce battles among the saint-level cultivators. In an instant, both the east and west districts lay in ruin, a scene of utter devastation. In the sky, blue, gold, and red divine lights intertwined, fiercely resisting the assaults from various sect cultivators. Nether God, Law Manifestation. Sun Huang let out a long howl, and a 1,000-foot-tall manifestation emerged behind him, towering like a deity. Flash. The Nether God Law Manifestation wielded its long spear, cleaving down upon a group of attacking cultivators. The chilling ghostly aura surged forth, and in a single exchange, dozens of Yinyang sect cultivators were sent flying. Ah, my precious body is indestructible. How could it be melting? A cultivator with a unique physique inhaled a wisp of ghostly energy and began to dissolve from the inside out. He knelt in agony, his face contorted in pain, frantically clawing at his own hair until nearly bald. Ultimately, he could not withstand the onslaught of the ghostly energy, transforming into a pool of black blood. The assembly of cultivators was filled with trepidation. A holy king realm practitioner, possessing an indestructible physique, had been cleaved in half with a mere glance. That monkey brandished a treasured staff. Seize it at once. Some cultivators, quick of eye in hand, sensed the anomaly and rushed forward. The remaining practitioners summoned various sacred treasures, golden umbrellas, great luo spears, and indestructible maces, all surged forth, their sacred power colliding and compressing the very heavens. Ao Tian let out a cold snort, transforming his hand into a golden dragon claw. Mastering the true dragon's secret art had endowed him with formidable strength. As he extended his claw, it wielded the power to shatter myriad laws, scattering all incoming sacred weapons. The dragon claw loomed like a vast cloud, casting a shadow over half the city. With a downward thrust, those cultivators, unable to evade, were obliterated on the spot, erupting into a mist of blood. Heavens! What manner of creature is this, with such robust flesh? Surely, even the legendary Mang Nio and Qinglong clans would struggle against it. One cultivator murmured as he clutched a deformed sacred weapon. Meanwhile, Shi Tianyu executed the reincarnation great method, systematically eliminating the practitioners from the Tianxian sacred land, exuding an aura of invincibility. In less than an hour, the hundreds of invading cultivators had been thoroughly vanquished. The city was awash in blood. Remnants of walls submerged in crimson-black liquid, and shattered bones piled high like a small mountain. Despite such a victory, few felt complacent or arrogant. Throughout the ordeal, 3 factions in the distance had yet to make a move. The Assassin's Divine Dynasty, aside from an initial probing assault, remained in the rear, quietly observing. 6 or 7 figures clad in black robes, emanating a chilling aura, stood firm, showing no signs of engagement. Conversely, the Sword Pavilion had sent merely 5 or 6 individuals, each donned in white, standing with swords at their backs, ethereal as if descended from the heavens. Shi Tianyu's expression grew grave. He could dismiss the other 2 factions, but not the Sword Pavilion. Isolated from the world, its true depth remained a mystery, known only as the inheritor of the Sword Emperor's legacy. Among the visitors, the lowest cultivation level was at the pinnacle of the Holy King realm, while the highest surpassed the Holy Sovereign realm. Moreover, Shi Tianyu sensed an imperial might emanating from one of them, the source of his greatest concern. Clapping his hands, an elder from the Sword Pavilion praised. To battle 100 foes alone, such decisive slaughter. Truly, heroes emerge in youth. Yet, in the next breath, he shifted his tone, but this is where it ends. From here on, you shall all perish. Young master, I ask you once more, will you retreat? If you choose to withdraw, I can negotiate with the Assassin's Divine Dynasty to offer you a safe passage at several times the price. Shi Tianyu scoffed, disdain evident on his face. Huh, you speak of respect for the elderly, yet this is not the presence of the great Emperor Dugu. Do not overestimate yourself. At this, the elder's expression darkened, veins bulging with fury. Very well, you have chosen not to flee. Today, I shall intercede in the enmity between the Beidou Heavenly Harmony and the Reincarnation Sacred Hall. Kill. With a command, 2 disciples from the Sword Pavilion soared forth, their twin swords merging to unleash a formidable blade of light. The sword, though merely 100 feet in length, encapsulates an unparalleled essence of sword intent. As the light flashed and the blade sang with a resonant clang, it seemed to possess a life of its own. I dare anyone to harm my junior brother. Suddenly, a deep voice resonated from behind the trio. A man clad in black emerged, wielding the 2 instruments' divine sword, with the interplay of yin and yang swirling behind him. With just a flourish of his sword, he dispelled the encroaching sword intent. That is the 2 instruments' divine sword of my yin-yang sacred land. Below, an elder from the yin-yang sacred land clenched his jaw tightly, roaring in fury. This imperial weapon was originally in the hands of our ancestor, yet was snatched away by that Xian emperor. Our only imperial weapon has been lost. You insignificant wretch, return it at once. The elder bellowed, charging forward. Humph, a mere insect shaking a tree. Ling Yun scoffed coldly, effortlessly decapitating the elder with a single stroke of his sword. The severed head, with a fierce visage, glared malevolently at Ling Yun, knowing it could not match the man before him, and thus resorted to other means. Esteemed friends, heed this. The sword in his hand is an imperial weapon. Upon hearing this, all cultivators turned their gaze in that direction, including those in the Sword Pavilion above. Immediately, several elder cultivators approached with sinister smiles, saying, Young friend, may we borrow a glance at your sword? Ling Yun shot them a glare. You old fool, step aside. The elder frowned, his voice laced with a threatening tone. This treasure is of great weight. Please return it to the Yin-Yang sacred land, lest you bring misfortune upon yourself. The group summoned their sacred weapons, encircling Ling Yun. Huh. You disrespectful relics. Do you truly think I am unaware of your intentions? Without further ado, Ling Yun raised his sword and charged. You have brought this upon yourself. The elders combined their strengths to form a grand formation, seeking to envelop Ling Yun with the might of heaven and earth, aiming to refine him alive and seize his weapon. You dare covet an imperial weapon, Holy Realm cultivators? You are the first to attempt it. Ling Yun channeled the sword intent of life and death, merging seamlessly with the imperial weapon. At that moment, he seemed to transform into the dragon spine line at the center of the yin-yang diagram, becoming formless and manifesting as a streak of light that sliced in all directions. The sword light shattered the grand formation in an instant, and with a series of muffled thuds, the heads of 2 elders were severed. Ah, you are ruthless, boy. You cannot retain this imperial weapon. Neither can you retain your lives. Ling Yun retorted sharply, annihilating the souls of the 2 elders. Blood rained down from the heavens. The 2 holy kings did not survive even a breath. The remaining 3 elders attempted to flee, but the black and white sword light pursued them relentlessly. resulting in their demise, both body and spirit obliterated. Outside the fray, all cultivators stood agape, astonished by this display of valor. This individual was remarkably fierce, cleaving through the grand array and single-handedly slaying 5 holy kings with the cultivation of a holy master. Naturally, some attributed this feat to the imperial weapon in his possession, eager to test their mettle against him. In an instant, another throng of cultivators emerged, standing against the 4, a dark mass even larger than the previous. Their eyes gleamed with avarice as they fixated on the weapon in Ling Yun's grasp. The grand age has arrived, and opportunities abound, magnifying the avarice of all cultivators who dare to covet the imperial weapons. At this moment, the void trembled, and both Fire Spirit and Ing Zheng emerged in succession. Mo Yue and Mo Yuling stood within the dragon pattern cauldron, peering over the rim with curiosity at the unfolding events. In an instant, the two opposing factions faced off, and battle erupted, engulfing the entirety of Qingguang City in divine radiance. The Grand Saint of the Sword Pavilion observed the disciples of the Xiantian Dao sect with a cruel smile curling at the corner of his mouth. He instructed the nearby elders and disciples, engage. Chapter 177. What combat prowess could a little girl possess? Within Qingguang City, the aura of devastation surged and spread, nearly obliterating the entire city. Both forces unleashed their true might, with corpses and remnants falling like rain, blood staining the heavens. During this chaos, the city lord attempted to mediate, but before he could approach, he was extinguished by a wave of residual combat energy. The scene was beyond imagination. Fire Spirit, Ling Yun, Ao Tian, and Sun Huang launched a fierce assault, decisively eliminating the young heirs of various sections. Their momentum was so formidable that even the elder generation of cultivators could not withstand it. With a swift motion, Shi Tianyu wielded a sacred weapon, beheading a boisterous disciple with a single strike, before casting his gaze towards the disciples of the Xiantian Dao sect. No wonder they are disciples of that esteemed master. Each one is a paragon of talent. Shi Tianyu reflected, feeling a twinge of shame for having been raised in the reincarnation holy hall, diligently studying the imperial scriptures, and yet unable to distance himself from his contemporaries. As he pondered, he also felt a desire to forge a bond with these individuals, recognizing that many adversaries would lie ahead, and it would be prudent to have them as allies. With a soft murmur, Shi Tianyu turned back to rejoin the fray. On the other side, the Yin-Yang sect, leading the major sects, was steadily retreating, with participants falling one after another. Within a few short hours, only a handful remained. The elder at the forefront exclaimed in frustration, my foes are right before me, yet I am powerless to avenge this grievance. Elder, do not despair. Look over there. A disciple exclaimed, pointing excitedly in a certain direction. The elder turned to see 5 figures clad in white, soaring on swords through the winds, exuding a powerful sword intent. The Sword Pavilion has dispatched an elder and 4 disciples. The elder from the Yin-Yang Holy Land gasped in astonishment. The Sword Pavilion accepts only 10 disciples every 10,000 years, making their numbers exceedingly rare. In the years before the Sword Pavilion emerged into prominence, some cultivators even doubted the continuity of their lineage. However, the elder generation was well aware of the truth. Although the Sword Pavilion had few disciples, each one was an elite among elites, comparable to the extraordinary prodigies of the current era. To everyone's astonishment, 4 elite disciples emerged from Qingguang City, a testament to nearly 5 millennia of heritage. With a resonant clang, the swords trembled to life as the elder and disciples of the Sword Pavilion swiftly engaged, forming a sword array to penetrate the battlefield. In that moment, sword intent surged, dazzling light filling the sky. The cultivators of the Sword Pavilion had made their move. The practitioners of the major sects breathed a collective sigh of relief, as if they had consumed a calming elixir. The pressure exerted by the disciples of the Xiantian Dao sect had been overwhelming. Within mere hours, wave after wave of cultivators had fallen like chaff before the scythe. That is the killing formation of Sword Pavilion. We shall retreat and leave the stage to them. Indeed, as these cultivators have stated, the previously overwhelming dominance of the disciples of the Xiantian Dao sect has swiftly transformed. Their primary target is Ling Yun, driven by greed for the supreme imperial weapon in his possession. Little Black, do you think a mere sovereign realm cultivator like you is worthy of wielding the imperial weapon? A young disciple from Sword Pavilion mocked, descending upon them like a hawk. Ling Yun's brows furrowed, and he retorted with fury, worthy? I am more than capable of ending your life. The sword light flickered, illuminating the heavens as this battlefield was once again turned upside down. Meanwhile, Elder Yin Yang clenched his fists, his palms sweating with excitement. Yes, exactly like that. Annihilate them all. A nearby disciple tugged at his sleeve, asking, Elder, shall we not intervene? Elder Yin Yang surveyed the surroundings, noting that the other sects had retreated to watch the battle from a distance. He replied, there is no need. Once Sword Pavilion makes its move, none can withstand them. We shall quietly await the moment when those younglings' heads roll. He gazed at the center of the battlefield, a smile gracing his lips, filled with immense satisfaction, as if he had already envisioned the thrilling spectacle. However, Elder, those few are also disciples of Xiantian Dao sect, are they not? A disciple from Enyang Holy Land pointed in another direction. The elder turned his gaze and beheld a tall, slender youth clad in a black imperial robe, advancing slowly. He pushed forward a dark green cauldron with great effort, within which sat two little girls resembling children, curiously surveying their surroundings while chattering and laughing. Junior brother, push faster. This is far more amusing than a horse-drawn carriage, Moyue exclaimed, allowing the gentle breeze to sway the two long whips in her hands. Ing Zheng wore a look of exasperation, his expression one of dismay. Though he managed celestial rituals and cultivated divine arts, he hardly expected to be reduced to the role of a caretaker for children. Junior brother, why are you dawdling? Hurry, hurry. Mo Yuling dashed from the other side of the cauldron, pinching Ing Zheng's cheek and urging him on. I know, he replied with a sigh. With just a few more miles ahead lies the heart of the battlefield. Should anything happen to the two senior sisters, he would surely be skinned alive by their master. On the other side, Elder Enyang cast a cruel smile toward the trio. Xuandi, even if I cannot subdue your formidable disciples, surely those two little ones cannot be so extraordinary? He commanded the other disciples, quickly, apprehend those two little girls. What you do with them afterward is entirely up to you. The other disciples exchanged glances, none daring to step forward. What is the matter? Are you afraid? Do you not wish to avenge our sect? Elder Enyang expressed his displeasure. These youngsters possessed no spirit whatsoever. A severely injured disciple limped forward, dragging a single leg, blood seeping from his body and staining the ground. Elder, it is not that we lack courage. Look around at our fellow brothers. We came with over 500, and now only a handful of us remain. Our sect has been annihilated. We are the last hope. If we push forward any further, Enyang Holy Land will face its demise. His words carried a hint of sorrow and a deep sense of grievance. It was not that they lacked the courage to engage, but rather that they were truly unable to do so. The elder of Yin and Yang furrowed his brows, casting a glance in that direction, and urged, behold, just two little girls, merely 5 or 6 years of age, and a tall, scrawny lad. And yet you are all rendered so fearful. What combat prowess could these two young maidens possibly possess? They are likely yet to embark upon the path of cultivation. This is our sole opportunity for vengeance. Hurry, he implored with fervor. The disciples lowered their heads, none daring to step forward, their hearts rife with silent curses, mentally addressing the ancestors of their elder with a string of grievances. Goodness, is this truly an elder? They saunter out, weaponless, exuding an air of unwarranted confidence. How could they have not encountered the path of cultivation? Were it not for their feeble powers and grievous injuries, they would have long since fled. Who would follow this old fool to their demise? If you will not go, then I shall. The elder of Yin and Yang swept his sleeve, summoning a Yin-Yang sword, firmly grasped in his hand, advancing towards that direction. After traversing 4 or 5 miles, he still sensed no aura of danger, allowing his anxious heart to settle. The confrontations of Holy Realm cultivators often culminate within a span of several dozen miles. Initially hesitant upon hearing his disciples' accounts, he now found himself within a 10-mile radius, yet there was naught but silence and no sign of peril. The other cultivators from various sects observed discreetly for a while, and upon sensing no anomalies, they too stealthily approached that direction. Kik, esteemed leaders and ancestors. Today I shall offer the blood of these 3 individuals as a sacrifice to your spirits in the heavens. Chapter 178, my dear lady, please allow me to bow before you. Beside the dragon-patterned cauldron, Ing Zheng knelt halfway, supporting Mo Youei's shoulders, earnestly explaining matters to her. Listen, senior sister. If we venture further in, we will reach the heart of the battlefield, where danger abounds. Should we proceed, we may be cut and bruised, bleeding profusely. Moreover, many little demons will eagerly come to harass you. Ing Zheng withdrew his hands, lifting his eyelids and mouth, deliberately contorting his face into a grimace, attempting to dissuade Mo Yue from delving deeper into the city. Oh, I see. Then, junior brother, let us not go any further. Mo Yue nodded, obediently climbing back into the cauldron. Ing Zheng rejoiced, realizing that coaxing a child could be such an effortless endeavor. The concubines within the palace, perpetually entangled in schemes and grievances regarding child-rearing, clamoring for the emperor's attention, had evidently been feigning their struggles. However, this was largely due to the gentle natures of his 2 senior sisters, who preferred not to stir trouble. Wait, why is there only one of you left? Upon this realization, Ing Zheng exclaimed, looking around, but only spotting Mo Youei's solitary figure. Senior sister, where is your sister? He promptly inquired, a foreboding sense of dread encircling his heart. Mo Yue nonchalantly gestured towards the central district. She is right over there. He swiftly turned to look, only to see Mo Yuling wandering amidst the bloodied ruins, curiously surveying her surroundings. She alternately caressed the jagged stones and navigated through the debris of collapsed shops, exuding an air of carefree tranquility. Wow, what a beautiful gem. At that moment, she plucked a blue gemstone, as large as a pigeon's egg, from the finger of a lifeless female corpse. Mo Yuling pinched it between her fingers, squinting her small eyes to observe it closely. It was truly exquisite. She wondered if there might be another to gift to her sister. Oblivious to the impending danger, she continued her leisurely stroll forward. Not far away, an elder of the Yin-Yang sect approached, sword in hand, emanating a chilling, murderous aura that spread for miles, instilling fear in all. Ing Zheng sensed the ominous energy immediately, cursing under his breath. "Senior sister, come back quickly. There's danger over there." To his surprise, Mo Yiling turned back with a radiant smile. "It's all right, junior brother. I have the treasures bestowed upon me by our master." Seeing that Mo Yiling had no intention of retreating, Ing Zheng hefted the cauldron onto his shoulder and strode towards her. Today, even at the cost of his own life, he could not allow any harm to come to his senior sister. Just then, a sharp beam of sword light sliced through the inky darkness, aimed directly at Ing Zheng. It was an unadulterated intent to kill, devoid of any impurities, as if it were the very essence of existence itself. Startled, Ing Zheng waved his sleeve, conjuring a colossal sun that radiated flames, ready to counter the attack. Clang! The sword light collided with the sun, sending dust swirling into the air and engulfing half the city. In that moment, a woman clad in white emerged from the chaos, her beauty striking, with a red mole adorning her brow. "Ah, quite impressive," she remarked with a melodious voice, a hint of amusement in her tone. She was the assassin who had previously attempted to strike down Ao Tian. "Who dares to intrude upon me? Do you seek death?" Ing Zheng's demeanor transformed, shedding the earlier sense of helplessness and exuding an air of authority. "Those on the brink of death are unworthy of knowing my name. With that great emperor absent, you are but a rabble." With that, the woman summoned a blue sword, diving down like a celestial being, intent on delivering death. Caught in a perilous situation, Ing Zheng could only shield Mo Yiling behind him, invoking the deities of the sun and moon to engage in battle with her. Meanwhile, the Yin-Yang sect master had already approached within 3 or 4 miles of Mo Yiling. For a practitioner of the sacred realm, this was an exceedingly perilous distance. A single thought could determine life or death. Observing Mo Yiling's innocent demeanor, the Yin-Yang elder grinned wickedly. Such an innocent little girl. The sight of her bloodied and mangled would surely be a beautiful spectacle. Now is the time. With a fierce glint in his eyes, he gripped the Yin-Yang sword tightly and soared into the air. "To my fellow disciples in another world, I shall avenge you." With the Yin-Yang sword in hand, he descended like a hawk in pursuit of its prey, closing the distance between them. 3 miles, 1 mile, 100 feet, 10 feet. "Die?" The Yin-Yang elder sneered, convinced of her doom. In an instant, Mo Yiling seemed to sense something, abruptly lifting her head. Confronted by an ominous aura of death, she displayed no sign of fear in her eyes, instead fixating intently on the sword held by the elder. "How is your sword so remarkably similar to the one wielded by senior brother Ling? Allow me a glimpse." With that, she extended her right hand, and a surge of white light emanated from her palm. In the next moment, the Yin-Yang sword inexplicably appeared in her grasp. The elder suddenly felt a lightness in his hand. The object he had tightly clutched seemed to vanish. When he caught sight of the sword in Mo Yiling's hands, his face contorted with disbelief. "How can this be? That sword was refined by me over thousands of years. How could it possibly be seized by another?" As the ground approached ominously, the elder's expression shifted. "This is dire." With less than 3 zhang to the ground, he maintained his diving stance, but with the sword's disappearance, his center of gravity abruptly faltered, causing his body to plunge forward. "Ah!" The elder's face blanched as he hastily curled his body to mitigate the impact of the impending fall. Yet, in the blink of an eye, most of his actions proved futile. Bang! The elder crashed onto the ground with his knees and head, sliding forward for several zhang, leaving behind 3 deep furrows in the earth. In that moment, he assumed a most peculiar posture, his rear elevated, knees on the ground, head buried in the soil. With his hands braced on either side, before him stood the resolute Mo Yiling. The disciples behind them witnessed this scene and could not help but murmur in astonishment. "I thought the elder possessed immense power. He boasted of vanquishing foes, yet now he bows before a mere girl. Indeed, how could a figure so well prepared so easily kneel before someone so young?" While the disciples of the Yin-Yang Holy Land may lack courage, surely they would not bow in submission without a fight. Alas, the elder acts for our sake. Perhaps his surrender preserves our lives. The senses of a saintly cultivator are acutely refined, and the Yin-Yang elder overheard the whispered remarks of his disciples. A multitude of dark lines appeared on his forehead, buried in the earth. Internally, he scoffed, a gaggle of individuals devoid of dignity or principles. "My actions are intended to approach her swiftly and catch her off guard, swiftly subduing her. The honor of the Yin-Yang Holy Land must be reclaimed by me. Little girl, prepare to meet your demise." With this thought, the elder forcefully extracted his head from the ground, contorting his face in a menacing glare directed at Mo Yiling. Yet, to his astonishment, he was met with the sight of Mo Yiling brandishing her sword. Her small hands gripped the hilt firmly, the blade's tip poised at the elder's nose as she inquired, "Grandfather, what were you just planning to do?" The Yin-Yang elder attempted to resist, but was bewildered to discover himself ensnared by a mysterious force. He soon recognized the intricate patterns etched into the ground, each line connecting to the shoes of the girl before him. The formation is complete. A wave of panic surged through him. Moments ago, the patterns had not existed. Crafting such intricate formations is an exceedingly complex endeavor. And how could such a young girl manage to complete it in a mere breath? Feeling the terrifying fluctuations of power, tears of unwillingness welled in the elder's eyes. Today, should he make even the slightest move, he would instantaneously trigger the grand formation, resulting in his soul scattering into oblivion. Yet, as if a realization dawned upon him, he gently bowed down. My dear lady, I have come here solely for this act of reverence. Chapter 179, the most powerful disciple of the Shintian Dao sect? Upon uttering these words, a profound silence enveloped the throng of cultivators behind him. Why did that elder, who was not without strength, suddenly kneel? A flurry of whispers ensued, causing the Yingyang elder's lips to twitch. The disciples of the Yingyang sacred ground were moved to tears. The elder, in a display of humility for our sake, knelt down in a bid for a sliver of hope. How magnificent! Indeed, we had misjudged him before. It was overwhelmingly touching. The Yingyang elder, drenched in cold sweat, lamented. While you are moved, I dare not move. Mo Yuling circled around him, her tone peculiar. Grandfather, do you truly covet this gem in my hand? The elder trembled. Oh, dear lady, this trinket is utterly worthless. I would gladly offer you 100 such beautiful gems. Please, release me. Adopting the demeanor of Ji Xian, Mo Yuling thoughtfully stroked her chin, genuinely contemplating. This elicited a sigh of relief from the elder. Indeed, children are easily deceived. He thought to himself, once I extricate myself, I shall seize you when your guard is down, and witness how you inscribe the formation. Boom. At that moment, the battle between Ying Zheng and the assassin woman had encroached upon their vicinity. Sister, retreat quickly. Ying Zheng bellowed. The woman before him bore an imperial mark within her being, rendering him unable to advance. Young man, do you dare to be distracted while battling me? She chuckled, her voice as melodious as the chime of spring bells. The great sun and moon, rising and falling, clashed with the fierce sword light, shaking the very earth. Crack. The formation Mo Yuling had casually inscribed was obliterated in an instant. The trapped Yingyang elder felt a sudden lightness in his body, followed by an overwhelming joy. He raised his head, a sinister smile forming, ready to strike. Hee little girl, it's my turn. Ah. Before he could finish his sentence, a surge of sword light cleaved him in two, an overwhelming intent to kill piercing through his spine and brain, annihilating his primordial spirit in an instant. Meanwhile, Mo Yuling had already been seized by Ying Zheng and thrown back into the cauldron. The arriving cultivators, witnessing this scene, were inevitably taken aback. The Yingyang elder, a notable figure of the Saint King realm, had been instantaneously slain by a single sword strike. They all turned their gazes towards the assassin. Clad in white, her appearance ethereal, she resembled a celestial being. Someone recognized her and exclaimed in shock, "It is Yi Wuwan of the Assassin Divine Dynasty." The rest felt a tremor within, astonished by her presence. Yi Wuwan and her twin sister, Yi Wulian, were the twin stars of the Assassin Divine Dynasty, each possessing the twin sacred body. They were disciples of a certain emperor within the dynasty, renowned for their formidable strength, capable of sweeping through the younger generation. It was said that through their unique cultivation technique, they could merge, unleashing 4 to 5 times their original combat prowess, challenging even the elder generation of cultivators. The arrival of such prodigies instilled a sense of trepidation in many. Yet, there were still resolute cultivators determined to press forward and seize their fortunes. The exquisite artifact in the hands of the tall, slender man was truly remarkable, not to mention the other treasures. In an instant, a throng of cultivators surged forth, encircling the three within a 10-mile radius. Ying Zheng, with his raven hair billowing wildly, exerted every ounce of his strength to channel the emperor's divine mandate, successfully warding off all incoming attacks. The emperor's divine mandate was not primarily a martial technique, but rather a method focused on celestial rites and spiritual cultivation. Thus, Ying Zheng could not be classified as a combat-oriented individual. Instead, he leaned towards management and command. It was no small feat for him to be entangled with the white-clad woman until now. Inside the cauldron, Mo Yuling and Mo Yue watched Ying Zheng struggle, their hearts heavy with concern. How could these individuals bully their junior disciple so mercilessly? Mo Yuling stepped forward, puffing up her cheeks, and indignantly exclaimed, "You bad guys. Is it really necessary to bully our junior disciple over a mere gemstone?" Ying Zheng, caught in the midst of battle, found himself momentarily speechless. Indeed, children could be so innocent in their thoughts. At this moment, he could only hope that the two would refrain from running about, as managing so many adversaries was already quite taxing for him. Suddenly, like a painting unfurling, the void trembled as a long-concealed assassin sprang forth, thrusting a sword towards the two within the cauldron. "Get away!" Mo Yuling shouted, standing tall as her twin ponytails swayed in the wind. Channeling her innate power, she summoned a purple thunderbolt talisman, which struck the assailant. Boom! A clap of thunder resounded from the clear skies, as a divine lightning bolt descended with astonishing ferocity, striking like a venomous serpent. The assassin, caught off guard, was instantly reduced to ashes, his very essence obliterated. The approaching cultivators were stunned by this spectacle. Such a small child, yet proficient in the art of summoning lightning, had effortlessly dispatched a sovereign with a single strike. Next, Mo Yue made her move. A radiant five-colored flame ignited at her brow, and she closed her eyes as if attuning to some force. The next moment, she opened her eyes, their brilliance shining forth as she gently raised her hand. From the earth, numerous mountains were uprooted and collided, empowered by her mystical force to form a colossal hand that descended upon the crowd of cultivators. The sheer size of the hand nearly enveloped half of Qingyuan City, and those at the forefront barely had time to defend themselves before being obliterated into a mist of blood. This single strike annihilated hundreds. She wielded the great forces of the mountains and rivers. This young girl commanded the path of creation. Recognizing the technique, one cultivator gasped in astonishment. The survivors, shaken to their core, understood that any being connected to the ancient paths was not to be trifled with. Even if this young girl was not of high cultivation, her combat prowess was formidable. The path of creation governs the heavens and the earth at a certain level of mastery. One could move mountains and fill seas with but a thought, even overturning the universe. Retreat. This time, no one held any illusions of safety. All prepared to withdraw and evade the onslaught. None shall leave. Those who bullied my junior disciple are not permitted to escape. The two sisters, once timid and immature, now exude an extraordinary strength. A star adorned with vibrant hues emerges, hovering above their heads. This is the celestial creation star, a supreme treasure of the celestial path, sealed within their very beings by Ji Xian. What has been summoned now is merely a phantom. The true divine artifact remains beyond their grasp. When the time is ripe, Ji Xian will undoubtedly unseal it. Nevertheless, even in this ephemeral form, the power of the celestial treasure is beyond the imagination of ordinary cultivators. Within the city limits, the force of creation surges dramatically, filling every corner. Fire Spirit and Ling Yun, engaged in combat, suddenly feel a chilling premonition. This power is all too familiar. They can never forget the cataclysmic battle at the South Gate, where the essence of 1,000,000 cultivators was drained, leaving them to rely solely on their physical prowess. Turning back, they see Mo Yuling and Mo Yue, hand in hand, suspended in the air, their silver hair dancing wildly, their expressions decidedly displeased. The junior sister is about to unleash her fury. Retreat. They exchange a glance, reaching a unanimous decision in an instant. Ao Tian and Sun Huang are still there, mercilessly defeating their opponents, growing more invigorated with each blow. Ling Yun shouts to his two junior brothers, quickly retreat. Qingyuan City is on the brink of destruction. In the skies above, Sun Huang swings his iron rod, fiercely charging towards the cloaked figures. Damn it, don't run away, I'll smash you to pieces. His fiery red hair blazes like an inferno, mirroring his current mood. Just moments ago, amidst the fierce battle, the cloaked figures had surreptitiously set up a formation to collect the soul energy of the deceased and the undissipated essence. They wield a sinister black seal, emanating a chilling aura, reminiscent of the energy Sun Huang had previously sensed. Recalling Ji Xian's teachings, he identifies the group's identity and organization. Damn it, boss. One of them is closing in. A nervous cloaked figure exclaims. The leader responds, what the hell is this monkey practicing? No matter what move we use, he can replicate it. In the recent clash, Sun Huang had mimicked the Black Seal, striking down dozens of cultivators, instilling fear in the hearts of many. Suddenly, a manifestation of a death deity swings its sword towards them, aiming to strike. Quickly summon the Xianyu platform for teleportation. The cloaked leader, unable to withstand the oppressive force, commands. In an instant, a void tunnel opens. Hurry. The leader steps into the void, on the verge of escape. Oh no. Sun Huang exclaims, realizing if they slip away, they would incur the wrath of their master. Ah, who are you? Release me at once. Suddenly, the cloaked leader screams in agony. A knight clad in silver armor shatters the void with a single palm, blocking their escape. Towering in stature, wielding a spear and adorned with a divine sword, he exudes an imposing presence. The knight strides forward, effortlessly subduing the cloaked figures with a few swift moves, binding them in place. Sun Huang's expression shifts in alarm. Who is this? He radiates a faint imperial might. Just as he contemplates fleeing, the knight addresses him. Young master, leave this to me. You should regroup with the other young masters. Are you one of Master S people? Sun Huang scrutinized the knight with a sense of awe. His master had casually dispatched a figure of imperial stature, one he had never encountered before. After following Ji Xian for over a decade, he had only glimpsed the tip of the iceberg. Monkey, senior sister and senior brother, are urging us to retreat. At that moment, Ao Tian soared in from behind, calling out to him. Sun Huang turned back, acknowledged him with a nod, and then followed suit. Meanwhile, Mo Yue and Mo Yuling sat cross-legged within the cauldron, preparing to unleash their grand maneuver. The ethereal image of the Emperor Star of Creation hovered above them, cascading strands of creation energy that appeared incredibly sacred. Suddenly, both opened their eyes simultaneously, unleashing four beams of divine light. Their small hands swiftly formed seals, etching intricate patterns with the assistance of the Emperor Star of Creation. 1, 2, 10, 30, 70. Within moments, 100 grand formations were inscribed. Activate the formations. They chorused in sweet voices, raising their hands to the heavens. In an instant, the phantoms of the 100 formations manifested in the firmament, their lines intertwining and linking to form a grand celestial array. Thunder rumbled. The previously clear night sky was now shrouded in dark clouds, with lightning crackling ominously. An immense, tumultuous power brewed, as if on the verge of unleashing its fury. Mo Yuling shouted, "Teach them a lesson, to protect that blue gem." Mo Yue hesitated for a moment. Her sister had called out a rallying cry, and she felt compelled to echo it. But what should she say? To avoid her master's wrath? To steal a bit more leisure time? No. She shook off her distractions, realizing her thoughts were spiraling out of control. Suddenly, inspiration struck. Teach them a lesson. To protect Sister S. Blue Gem. With that proclamation, the raging power brewing in the sea of clouds seemed to heed their call, breaking through the layers and cascading down toward the ground. It painted a terrifying apocalyptic scene, as the entire Qinguang city was engulfed in lightning, with all beings shrouded in an aura of destruction. Strangely, why couldn't they escape? A cultivator attempted to flee on the divine rainbow, only to discover that Qinguang city was sealed off. Run. In an instant, cries of despair echoed throughout the city. Those with lower cultivation could barely withstand a breath. Under the guidance of Hualinger and Ling Yun, Ao Tian and Sun Huang reached a safe zone. They gazed in trepidation at the roiling sea of thunder above, exclaiming, "Wow, it turns out third senior sister is so powerful. I always thought they were mere decorations." Hualinger and Ling Yun exchanged glances, their eyes filled with resignation. Had they not been familiar with their junior sister's techniques, they too might have been reduced to ashes by now. Yi Wuan soared through the void, desperately evading the strikes of lightning. Yet her white garments were stained crimson with blood, leaving her gravely wounded. A heart-wrenching cry rang out as a bolt of divine thunder pierced her body, slamming her heavily to the ground. One could only say that she truly embodied the pinnacle of excellence in this era. Despite enduring such relentless strikes, she still clung to life. Had it been anyone else, they would have long since perished. "Little Wuan, allow this old one to take you. Do not be stubborn." At that moment, a spectral figure of an elderly woman emerged within her being, hunched over with concern as she inquired. The resolute Yi Wuan could only acquiesce. If she lingered any longer, she would truly perish in this place. The void gate unfurled, and her form gradually began to dissolve into it. "Where do you think you're going?" The Silver Knight, sword in hand, unleashed a flurry of 9 sword lights, attempting to sever the void tunnel. To snatch someone from my grasp, you, a mere quasi-emperor, are hardly worthy." The apparition of the elderly woman materialized once more, her hand sweeping downwards. A strand of the emperor's divine thought. The knight was taken aback, conjuring a circular shield to defend against the attack. Bam! The shield shattered instantaneously, sending the Silver Knight hurtling 100 miles away, carving a deep trench upon the ground. His armor was riddled with fractures, on the verge of collapse. Had his master not forged him with exceptional sturdiness, he would have been obliterated by that blow. The gulf between an emperor and a quasi-emperor, though seemingly a single tier, was akin to a chasm, a vast cosmos separating them. He staggered to his feet, beginning to mend his injuries. "Master, I am sorry, I failed to complete the task." He lamented silently. Ji Xian, as if sensing his thoughts, transmitted a message. "It is of no consequence. I intentionally allowed her to depart. That woman in white may yet serve a purpose." The subordinate understood. Meanwhile, Ji Xian, seated upon a mat, stroked his chin thoughtfully, fingers pinching as he commenced calculations. Who would have thought that the twin sacred bodies of the assassin god dynasty have some connection with one of my disciples? Very well, the next time we meet, I shall capture both of them and uncover the secret of their fusion. I wonder if those 2 little ones will be of any use. With this thought, Ji Xian felt a flicker of anticipation. What might result from the merging of 2 young girls? He was exceedingly pleased with his disciples' performance in this practical exercise, particularly those 2 little ones, whose limited training had yielded unexpectedly remarkable results. As for Ing Zhong, he did not intend to impose any penalties. After all, this lad was originally a civil official, and it was entirely reasonable for him not to be adept in combat. He turned his gaze to the heart of the battlefield, continuing his observation. Chapter 181. The solitary emperor in the expansive Qinguang city. A sense of annihilation permeated the air. Thunder clashed repeatedly, ravaging the city beyond recognition. Countless cultivators struggled amidst the storm of lightning, invoking various treasures to defend themselves, yet they were still pierced by the bolts, their forms and souls obliterated. Within the city, it resembled a hellscape. Outside, a small beam gently caressed a child's face, staring blankly at the devastated homeland, rendered mute with shock. Behind him stood his family. He could not help but reflect on how the conflicts of the saintly realm could effortlessly obliterate a grand city, a terror far too great for mere mortals like them. Had it not been for the Monkey Lord's spell that had transported him away, he too would have met the same fate as those who could not retreat in time. Faced with such a scene, he felt only despair, bitterness, and helplessness. In the unfolding tide of the future, did mortals still possess a glimmer of hope for survival? Meanwhile, the tempest of lightning continued its rampage. Mo Yuling and Mo Yue stood resolutely, surrounded by crackling arcs of lightning, resembling 2 small war gods. Little A, attack from that side. Mo Yuling aimed at the crowd of the Yin Yang sacred land. With her utterance, a colossal thunderbolt descended like the heavy foot of an elephant, ruthlessly crushing the multitude into the depths of the earth. A chilling scream echoed, for none could withstand the might of the lightning. In the blink of an eye, they were all obliterated. In their final moments, their faces were etched with resentment and despair. The Yin Yang sacred land, a formidable sect that had stood for over 100,000 years, was extinguished. Go, strike over there. Mo Yue pointed towards a disciple of the Sword Pavilion. Boom. The countenance of the fleeing Sword Pavilion disciple shifted dramatically. Before he could react, he was annihilated. Presumptuous. The Grand Sage of the Sword Pavilion was enraged. Every disciple of the Sword Pavilion was a paragon among men, a rarity in 1,000. How audacious of these lowly bastards from the Xiantian Dao sect to act with such insolence. Do they truly believe that with the protection of an emperor, they can act without consequence? What if the great Emperor Dugu were to emerge? What could the representative of the Xiantian Dao sect do then? Ah, great elder, save me. Another disciple was ruthlessly struck down. Damn it. The elder of the Sword Pavilion no longer hesitated. He summoned a divine sword and charged towards Mo Yuling and Mo Yue. You little beasts, meet your demise. Ing Zheng, who was bearing a heavy burden, felt a chilling sensation at his neck, realizing the impending crisis. Protect the third senior sister. Sun Huang stepped forward, invoking the manifestation of the god of the underworld. Yet, faced with a disparity of 3 or 4 realms, no matter how remarkable his talent, it was all in vain. The manifestation of the god of the underworld was shattered in an instant. The Battle Saint Law was merely an approximation and could not unleash its full might. Shi Tianyu attempted to activate time stasis, but failed. The long sword arrived in the blink of an eye, carrying an unparalleled aura of slaughter. At that moment, the air seemed to freeze, leaving only the chilling sword light. The disciples felt the looming threat of death. Suddenly, the void trembled, and a long spear pierced through the air with tremendous force. Clang! The long sword in the elder's hand was instantly sent flying, shattering into pieces. Old fool, you have overstepped your bounds. The voice of the silver-armored knight was cold, his eyes gleaming like 2 brilliant lamps, filled with murderous intent. The elder's expression changed. He sensed a faint imperial majesty. The Xiantian emperor had actually dispatched a quasi-emperor to protect them. Die! The spear, like a dragon, swiftly pierced through the elder's chest. Ah! The elder screamed in agony as a torrent of blood gushed forth, causing his entire body to explode. Self-destructing soul. A radiant essence emanated from his shattered head. You shall not succeed. In a moment of peril, the knight drew the divine sword from his waist and hurled it forward with great force. Clang! The anticipated sight of the sword piercing through the head did not occur. It seemed as though the divine sword was obstructed by something. A vast and profound sword intent surged forth from the elder's brow, and the phantom of an old man gradually materialized. Yet another emperor's divine consciousness. The knight was immensely shocked, but felt no fear. The last time, due to the emperor's consciousness, he had failed to retain that woman, disappointing his master's expectations. This time, he could not retreat. Moreover, he stood with so many young masters behind him. The knight's very existence was to protect. Die. He channeled all his internal strength and forcefully thrust the sword into the fray, thwarting the elder of the Sword Pavilion's self-destruction. The explosion of a great sage could obliterate not merely a single city of azure light, but even several such cities combined would be reduced to ruins. The sound of clattering weapons and shattering armor echoed as the knight, attempting to harness that fleeting imperial thought, suffered a backlash. The elder's phantom materialized completely, regarding the battered knight with an air of indifference. How dare a quasi-emperor lay hands upon this imperial consciousness? You shall perish. With a gentle wave of his hand, the elder eradicated the knight without leaving a trace. He then turned his gaze towards several disciples, smiling. Since my lingering thought has been awakened, I might as well take you along to prevent future calamities. The disciples felt a chill run down their spines. Even if this were merely a remnant thought, it was far beyond their capacity to contend with. The elder once again lifted his hand lightly, striking forward. This gesture appeared utterly mundane from an external perspective, as if an elderly man nearing his twilight years was merely reaching out. Yet, in the eyes of the disciples, this hand was more monumental than the heavens themselves, as if it overshadowed the entire world, compelling them to kneel involuntarily. Old fool, you have overstepped. Suddenly, a cool, resonant male voice pierced the air. Master. The disciples instantly regained their composure. A hum resonated as 2 characters emerged from the foreheads of Sun Huang and Ao Tian. These were 2 mature imperial scripts, gleaming with golden brilliance, suspended in the air as if bearing immense weight that threatened to collapse the very void. The characters gradually converged, materializing the phantom of Ji Xian. The elder chuckled. You think 2 imperial scripts can dismiss me? You are rather presumptuous. Unfazed by the elder's mockery, Ji Xian retorted. Is it necessary for me to personally confront an old fool like you? 2 imperial scripts suffice. At this, the elder darkened. How brazen. A new emperor. Devoid of any decorum in the face of this imperial presence. Do you truly believe I would hesitate to strike you down in the wilderness? Mere remnants. How audacious. You shall die. Ji Xian declared. He struck first, unleashing a sword light that shone brilliantly, as if cleaving through chaos itself, sharp enough to annihilate all things. The elder met his challenge with a sword of his own, casting forth a sword seal that evoked the phenomena of sun, moon, mountains, and seas, accompanied by an ethereal melody of divine resonance. Bang! The two swords clashed, unleashing boundless waves that surged outward. Debris and rubble stirred violently, propelled by the overwhelming force, roaring like a tidal wave and leveling numerous mountain ranges. This singular strike obliterated miles of landscape. How intriguing! The elder realized he could not withstand Ji Xian's sword, as the remnant thought was nearly swept away by the brilliance. Yet, he was unperturbed. This remnant had existed for 100,000 years. Its defeat was only natural. Your sword source is quite unique. I shall personally seek you out in the wilderness to subdue your path. With this statement, Dong Gu Yun completely dissipated. Humph. Ji Xian snorted coldly, dispersing once more into two imperial scripts that returned to the foreheads of the two disciples. The onlooking disciples were left astounded. Merely two manifestations of consciousness engaged in a single clash had unleashed such formidable power. The devastation wrought by the great celestial formation appeared trivial in comparison, akin to a mere drop in the ocean. This prompted a deep reflection among the disciples, lamenting that even an emperor may ultimately be reduced to mere insignificance. Little did they realize that their master had foreseen this day long ago, hence planting the imperial script within my sea of consciousness, murmured Sun Huang. An emperor possesses the ability to forecast the future, allowing for certain events to be roughly anticipated. Had it not been for Ji Xian, many would have perished in today as calamity. Meanwhile, Ji Xian opened his eyes. Come forth, he called out to a shadowed corner. A golden knight emerged, more imposing and powerful than the silver-armored knight that had just been destroyed. Master, the knight knelt in reverence. You performed admirably today. Consider this cultivation as a reward from this emperor, Ji Xian remarked, nodding at the knight, who had been reborn through Ji Xian's elevation, now surpassing the imperial realm. Master, every emperor requires a title. My designation is. Ji Xian furrowed his brow, realizing, wait, you shall remain as destruction. Chapter 182. The beginning and the end. Within the confines of Qingguang City lay a desolate wasteland. After enduring relentless lightning strikes, all life had been extinguished. Yet, amidst the ruins stood a 10-story tavern, the sole structure remaining intact. Humph. Kneel properly. With a sweeping gesture, Sun Huang tossed several robed cultivators to the ground. He pressed a black iron rod against their throats and bellowed, confess. Reveal everything you know to me. The leader of the black-robed figures scoffed. You audacious monkey demon. How bold you are. That quasi-emperor knight has been slain, yet you dare to act so brazenly? Do you not fear the cultivators of Ming Mountain coming to end you? To hell with you. You dare to speak defiantly. Unable to contain his anger, Sun Huang rolled up his sleeves and delivered a resounding slap. Ah, you shall perish. That emperor cannot shield you at all times. The army of Ming Mountain approaches, and you shall all await your doom. The leader's face was bruised and swollen, yet he persisted in his defiance, shouting incessantly. I can't take this anymore. Monkey, count me in. Ao Tian grumbled as he joined the interrogation. Slap. Let us see you boast now. Slap. Let us see you boast now. The more Ao Tian struck, the more invigorated he became, his golden palms striking with the force of a millstone, revealing dragon scales. Ah, the true dragon clan possesses formidable physiques. As soon as he engaged, cries of agony filled the air. The leader of the black robes was beaten into a grotesque visage, his mask shattered, revealing a face adorned with tattoos. Bloodied, he had lost several teeth. Ah, I will send word back to headquarters and send troops to annihilate you all. The black-robed figure was driven to desperation. He had never before encountered such humiliation, especially as a captive. All of us. At this moment, a cold male voice resonated. The tone was melodious, making it difficult to discern its proximity, as if it emanated from the horizon or arose from the very ground. Yes, all of you. Each and every one of you must perish. You shall become the blood offerings for that existence's resurrection. The black-robed figure, disheveled and bloodied, had lost his composure, his sanity fraying, ultimately uttering words he should not have spoken. Splendid. Continue. The male voice resonated once more, yet at this moment, its master stood before the chief in the black robe. Ji Xian, clad in pristine white, appeared untouched by the dust of the world, his eyes shimmering like black gemstones. Behind him, visions of mountains and rivers, sun and moon materialized, exuding a divine aura. The man in black felt the weight of this formidable presence, his heart sinking as the roar was abruptly silenced. He lifted his gaze slightly, and before him lay a blinding white light, within which stood a figure, its true form obscured. Bang! The sound of shattering eyeballs echoed. Two jets of blood erupted from the eye sockets of the black-robed chief, drenching the floor beneath him. A pained cry escaped his lips. Who permitted you to gaze upon me? You deserve this fate, Ji Xian remarked with a light chuckle. Xian Emperor. Even without witnessing his true visage, the chief surmised the identity before him. Had he not vanished deep within the primordial forbidden zone? How could he reappear here? At that moment, the chief was engulfed in profound panic, realizing he had let slip a crucial secret. A living emperor stood before him, who could remain unperturbed. With a swift motion, a dark seal shot forth from the chief's body, landing in Ji Xian's hand. Ji Xian toyed with the dark seal, pondering aloud. Shall I personally delve into your soul? The black-robed man trembled and replied, I will speak, I will speak. He understood there was no room for defiance. He felt that even the slightest rebellious thought would be forcibly erased by the great Dao. This was due to the leader of the Xiantian Dao sect intercepting the emperor corpse of the Ming Mountain at the shores of the indeterminate Divine Sea, obstructing the grand event of the Ming Mountain's emergence. The senior members unanimously decided that the Ninth Palace would dispatch troops to attack the Xiantian Dao sect, invading the territories of 3,000 states. Currently, the army had seized 6 states and was advancing towards Ningzhou. Due to the defeat at Jinyan Mountain, where 3 quasi-emperors perished, the Ninth Palace had sent an extreme Dao imperial weapon to assault the mountain, but alas, to no avail thus far. Upon hearing this, Ji Xian felt a stirring within and interjected, what manner of extreme Dao imperial weapon is it? Returning to the emperor, it is a chaos green lotus, bearing 3 sacred lotus seeds, one of which was seized, the black-robed chief responded. Ding! The location for accepting disciples has been refreshed, beneath Jinyan Mountain. The system's prompt suddenly resounded. Ji Xian's heart leaped with joy. I knew it. Proceed. He continued. This time, in addition to expanding the realm of the Ming Earth, I have another objective, to reclaim the small imperial coffin that was lost back then. It is a complete set of coffins, varying in size, once housing an unparalleled being, an existence revered even by the Ming emperors. That dark seal is a vessel meant to gather the power necessary for the imperial coffin. Ji Xian nodded, understanding the sequence of events. However, he still harbored doubts about the individual entombed within the coffin. An entity revered by the Ming emperors. Could it be an immortal? Do you know who lies within the coffin? He inquired of the black-robed chief. The chief hesitated, beads of sweat forming on his brow, clearly reluctant to speak. What? Unwilling to divulge? Ji Xian pressed. Nay, esteemed senior, that figure is a taboo. Even the name bears causality, and we could not utter it even if we wished. The black-robed chief lamented. He found himself utterly powerless when it came to conversing with these prominent figures, as if a blade were poised at his throat. The slightest misstep could lead to his untimely demise. If you can articulate it, I shall grant you your freedom, Ji Xian replied, his words laced with a hint of trepidation. The leader in the black robe visibly trembled, a spark of agitation evident in his demeanor. Who would wish for death when life was still a possibility? The subordinates behind him were eager to speak, yet their mouths were sealed, rendering them voiceless. Desperation gripped him. The leader of the black robe clenched his teeth, making a decision that defied his ancestors. That individual was the supreme ruler of the Mingshan during the ancient era, indeed, a figure akin to his forebear. That person was Bang. Just as the leader of the black robe began to form words, his lips curled into a shape, and in an instant, his head exploded, meeting a tragic fate. Despite this violent end, Ji Xian could surmise a general idea. To achieve such an effect, that person's cultivation must have reached celestial heights. Much like himself, Ji Xian's name invoked fear amongst younger cultivators, aside from the emperors of the same tier, who regarded him as a potential threat to their existence. Undoubtedly, beneath the true immortal level, he stood alone in possessing such formidable power. Fengdu Emperor. Ji Xian murmured softly, his mind brimming with visions. He never anticipated that one day he would stand shoulder to shoulder with such a personage, which left him in awe. He gathered his thoughts. His immediate priority was to return to Jinyan Mountain, recruit the Chaos Qinglian, quell the turmoil at the borders, and bring several major states under his dominion to establish a true sacred land. Subsequently, he would judiciously consider how to confront the various emperors from the outside world and launch an assault on Mingshan. Chapter 183. The Arcane of Space Within the Tranquil Valley. The army of Mingshan marched forward with great momentum. The soldiers donned purple-black scaled armor, wielding long-handled blades, exuding an air of lethal intent. This was an invincible force, having not known defeat since their arrival in the 3,000 states several years prior. Before them, the major sects and cities of the borderlands crumbled like paper, offering no resistance whatsoever. Inside a military tent, congratulations, brother, on breaking through to the quasi-emperor level. A leader of Mingshan, possessing a serpent's head and human body, raised a cup in salute to the supreme commander. The commander, with a bear-like visage and an imposing physique, displayed explosive muscles, exuding immense strength. Meanwhile, a demon cultivator with a wolf's head also raised his cup in reverence. The commander smiled and said, "Thank you, brothers, let us revel together on this splendid night. Cheers." Gulping down the crimson liquid, the metallic scent of blood filled the air. Indeed, they were not drinking wine, but rather the fresh blood of humanity. The table was adorned with the limbs and entrails of human and other races, each piece dripping with gore, uncooked and raw. Crunch. The bare-faced commander tore into a human leg and inquired, "Have the scouts from Qinguang City sent word?" The serpent-headed cultivator replied, "None, since those few departed. There has been no further news." The wolf-headed cultivator expressed skepticism. "Could something have gone awry? I've heard that Qinguang City has been rather tumultuous lately." with frequent altercations among cultivators. Ugh, don't be a harbinger of doom. The serpent-headed cultivator chided lightly, then added, even if there were disturbances, what could possibly transpire? The Ji family, having sustained significant injuries, has temporarily fallen into silence. While the figure from the Xiantian Dao sect who ventured deep into the Taichu Forbidden Zone remains unaccounted for. Although a few emperors have emerged sporadically, they scarcely concern themselves with our affairs. At present, my elder brother has just transcended to the quasi-emperor realm, establishing himself as a formidable expert within the second sequence of the Ninth Hall. Moreover, with the weapon we possess, aside from the Deputy Hall Master currently assaulting Jinyan Mountain, it can be said that my brother has no rivals in this region of the borderlands. The bare-headed cultivator bared his bloodied grin, erupting into boisterous laughter. The serpent-headed cultivator's flattery struck a chord with him. Elder brother, have you truly brought that weapon with you? Isn't it in the hands of the Deputy Hall Master, employed in the siege of Jinyan Mountain? The wolf-headed leader felt a quiver of apprehension within. The Howling Wolf Emperor foresaw a shift in circumstances to ensure prudence. He commanded that it be entrusted to my use. The bare-headed leader chuckled, retrieving a lotus lantern. The lantern, resting upon its pedestal, measured 2 feet in length, harboring within it a small, chaotic azure lotus, pulsating with profound energy. Ha ha ha. To think there exists an imperial weapon. Although a lotus seed is missing from within, its might is beyond the capacity of ordinary cultivators to withstand. The wolf-headed leader laughed heartily. With such reassurance, his worries dissipated. Feast. Drink. Let us celebrate in advance, commanded Ji Xian. Ao Tian, drive the carriage. Ling Yun, pay attention and don't get lost right outside our door, he instructed. Upon concluding his words, he stepped into the invincible divine chariot. Ling Yun, wearing a pained expression, approached the reins. Since the appearance of this divine chariot, he had yet to enter it. His master assigning a pathfinder like him to navigate was akin to a death sentence. Ao Tian reclined atop the back of the 8th golden Qilin, crossing his legs with a cheerful demeanor. Senior brother Ling, do not lose heart. All difficulties shall pass. Inside the carriage, the mountains appeared hazy, and the rivers surged forth. This was a realm of ethereal beauty, brimming with vitality, highly conducive to comprehending the great Tao. Master, may we play with that item? Mo Yuling and Mo Yue approached, tugging at Ji Xian's sleeves, imploring him. What? Mo Yue spread her arms, beginning to illustrate. It's the long, dark, large one you have, master. Could you be more specific? Ji Xian inquired, puzzled. Oh, it's that one you secretly played with in the guest room of the tavern, Mo Yue admitted bashfully. Lowering her head, Ji Xian stroked his chin, pondering. Had he been playing with such a long, dark, and large item in the guest room of Qinguang City? Oh, so that's what it is. Ji Xian realized, looking down at his waist and reaching into his garment to grasp a shadowy object. It was the black seal he had retrieved from the leader of the Black Robe, a treasured artifact for collecting and storing the blood and essence of living beings. After purging the seal of its sinister energy, he tossed it to the 2 sisters. The current seal was merely a solid, black storage container. Wow, let us go? Let us go? The 2 exclaimed joyfully, then struggled to lift the seal as they dashed into a small grove. A notification sounded, indicating that the host had received a spatial treasure, the Ghost King seal, triggering a 3 million-fold return probability. A strand of spatial arcana was acquired. Spatial arcana? Ji Xian gazed at the enchanting purple light within the system space, his brow slightly furrowed. Arcana is the understanding born from the enlightenment of immortals on the path of the Tao. A prompt followed, suggesting that the host could utilize this item to transcend the path of space and ascend to the semi-step of the Fasheng Jing. This was straightforward. Once he successfully took on disciples and accumulated some time, he should be able to break through the Fasheng Jing. After nearly 20 years without advancing to a significant realm, the cultivation in the imperial realm was indeed arduous. Ji Xian sighed. By the standards of mortals, he might now be considered an old man. Throughout history, emperors have been those who have cultivated for hundreds of thousands of years. Is that what you call a human perspective? Go away, I'm not talking to you. Ji Xian dismissed the system page and ventured into the forest, preparing to cultivate and comprehend the spatial arcana. He entrusted all external matters to the Imperial Knight. The name of the Golden Armored Knight was the culmination of Ji Xian's 3 nights of contemplation. With a thunderous roar, the fearless divine chariot soared into the sky, departing from the heart of Ningzhou, heading towards the direction of Huangzhou. The distance between Ningzhou and Huangzhou was merely a state apart, and with the speed of the fearless divine chariot, they arrived on the 5th day after departure. Upon entering Huangzhou, the scene was drastically different from what it had been a decade ago. The mountains and fields lay in ruin, scorched earth as far as the eye could see. Countless beings lay lifeless across the wasteland, a sight of utter devastation. A fierce battle had erupted here, staining the land with blood, and the rivers had run dry. From a distance, one could even see the remnants of fallen stars from the heavens. The grand sects had all been annihilated, leaving only fragments of broken walls. Amidst the endless wilderness, the divine chariot radiated brilliant starlight, quietly hovering. Several disciples stood at the yoke, gazing down at this scene, their hearts filled with trepidation as they began to worry about the safety of their sect. This is dreadful. Surely our new home hasn't been destroyed? Mo Yuling asked anxiously. Ling Yun, Huolinger, and Ning Zheng also exhibited concern. They had yet to enter the newly established sect, and witnessing the desolation made it hard not to draw troubling conclusions. What about our master? Surely he must have some means? Ling Yun remarked. Suddenly, the void trembled, unfurling like a scroll, and a towering golden knight emerged from within. There is no need for concern, young masters. The sect possesses its own means of response. I am the Imperial Knight, and while the master is in seclusion, all matters are entrusted to me. Upon hearing this, the disciples turned to look, and at the sight of the knight, they felt a jolt of awe. The imperial aura emanating from him was overwhelmingly potent. Sun Huang seemed to have an epiphany and explained the situation to the others. A guardian knight of imperial level, Huolinger exclaimed, her eyes wide with wonder, her mouth forming an O shape. It turns out I am the fortunate second-generation heir, Ling Yun remarked with a sense of amazement. In the lower realms, he had used the earth as his bed and the sky as his blanket, drifting between various secret realms. Each day brought life and death trials, leaving him with a lingering sense of unease even until today. Now, with the sudden appearance of a top-tier knight to protect them, he felt a bit unaccustomed to such a turn of events. At this moment, Ning Zheng spoke. Esteemed brothers, we must not become complacent. Our encounter at Qingguang City left us in a most passive position. Had it not been for our master's imperial wisdom, we might have met our demise there. The others nodded in agreement, fully understanding the gravity of the situation. Following the events at Qingguang City, the disciples had clearly discerned the path that lay before them. Although they had endured numerous trials to reach the sacred realm, without the guidance of Ji Xian, achieving further success remained an arduous task, and even mere survival proved challenging. The disciples exchanged glances, reaching a silent consensus. Their sole conviction became one of training and strengthening themselves, with plans to embark together on their journey through the Nine Heavens after a period of secluded cultivation upon returning to their sect. Wow, this golden greave is simply splendid, exclaimed Mo Yue and Mo Yuling, eagerly climbing up and down on Di Qi, their excitement palpable. Naturally, at the moment the others reached their consensus, they inadvertently excluded the two sisters from their deliberations. Look over there. What is that? Shouted Ao Tian, his gaze fixed on the horizon, his expression grave. Thunderous sounds of iron hooves pounding approached from afar. Chapter 184. Sweeping across the army, the chaotic lotus lamp emerges on the boundless plains, grasses danced wildly, and corpses littered the ground. Blood pooled into a river, seeping into the earth's cracked surface. The army of the Ming Mountains surged forth, their soldiers' armor emanating a dark gleam that cast shadows across half the sky. The marching unit moved in unison, their battle cries resonating like thunder, as if to shatter the very void. The atmosphere was thick with a chilling aura of death. As they beheld the advancing army, Ling Yun and the others readied their weapons, stepping down from their chariots, eager for action. Di Qi turned back and cautioned, young masters, please exercise caution. My master has instructed me to resolve this swiftly, so do not draw too close lest you be harmed. The others nodded and reluctantly returned to their seats in the chariot. Meanwhile, a small soldier clad in military garb entered the command tent in the sky. What is it? The bare-headed cultivator inquired lazily, lifting his eyelids. The brothers had been indulging in drink, nearly oblivious to their surroundings. From miles away, a force blocks our path, reported the small soldier. A force? How many of them are there? Asked the serpent beast leader, his tone laced with dissatisfaction. What cultivators in the borderlands could possibly obstruct our advance? This soldier is incompetent. We could simply crush them under our chariots. Such a disturbance has ruined our merriment. He scoffed, referring to the drinking revelry. Only one chariot, the soldier replied. Upon hearing this, the serpent beast leader was enraged. Damn it, do we really need to report a single broken chariot to the general's tent? He launched a kick, sending the small soldier crashing against the wall, leaving a dent. As the soldier struggled, the serpent beast leader contemplated delivering further punishment. Hey, second brother, do not act so rashly. It is better to exercise caution, the bare-headed cultivator admonished. Though he had achieved a breakthrough to the quasi-emperor realm, he did not wish to be careless at such a crucial moment, risking disaster. Come here and clarify, beckoned the bare-headed monk to the small soldier. The small soldier approached unsteadily, trembling all over. Reporting to the chief, the white divine chariot remained suspended in silence, its aura profound and inscrutable to our men. The bare-headed monk continued to inquire, have you tested it? Yes, but to no avail. Go out and take a look. He rose, shaking off his excess flesh, and stepped outside. The serpent-headed leader grasped the bare-headed leader's arm, appearing still under the influence of drink. Big brother, it must be some reckless minor faction obstructing us. No need for you to intervene. I can dispatch a small team to eliminate them all. Before he could finish, a strange tremor reverberated throughout the heavens and earth. The sound seemed to emerge from ancient times, heavy and archaic, captivating the senses. In an instant, hundreds of thousands of soldiers were affected by the resonant sound, halting their advance and plunging into a state of bewilderment, losing all perception. In the distance, the imperial rider stood tall like a pillar supporting the heavens, exuding an overwhelming imperial presence. Grasping a long spear, He gazed down upon the army miles away before forcefully striking the spear's tip against the ground. Clang. Instantly, a crisp metallic resonance echoed, akin to a grand bell being struck. Boom. A vast chasm, 1,000 feet wide, opened beneath the spear, stretching directly towards the army of the underworld mountain. The earth once again collapsed, the entire plain cleaved by a black abyss, shaking the mountains and sending debris flying. At that moment, the soldiers, previously in a daze, awoke. What is happening? The bareheaded leader's face changed dramatically. He sensed an overwhelming Imperial might advancing towards them. What a powerful Imperial presence! The serpent beast leader exclaimed. How many quasi-emperors must have arrived? The effects of 3 days of intoxication vanished in an instant. The bareheaded leader lifted the tent flap, shocked by the sight before him. The boundless plain was split in two, a black abyss rising ominously towards them. The depth of the abyss was terrifying, seemingly devoid of an end, as if it absorbed all surrounding light. The soldiers at the forefront had not yet comprehended the situation before plunging into the abyss. Swiftly consumed. Following them, rows of cavalry, waves of infantry, and combat chariots fell into the chasm, even aerial vessels plummeting from the sky. At the abyss's depths, an invisible claw seemed to be tearing apart the army of the underworld mountain. Form ranks, quickly form ranks. The bareheaded leader shouted in a panic. Yet, before absolute power, all was futile. Hundreds of thousands of troops were shattered by the abyss, nearly half annihilated. How could this be? What sort of existence is that? He was in a complete state of alarm. Despite possessing a fragment of an Imperial weapon, witnessing such a scene only deepened his uncertainty. In the distance, the Imperial rider moved, shaking off his crimson cloak as he strode step by step toward the army of the underworld mountain. Clang, clang. With each step that the Emperor rider takes, the very heavens and earth resonate in response. At this moment, the mountains tremble as if heralding the birth of a new sovereign. Elder brother, quickly summon your weapon to fend off that individual. If this continues, we shall all perish, cried the serpent beast leader, stepping forward. All right. The bareheaded leader, finally roused from his stupor, faltered upon laying eyes on the Emperor rider. Having achieved the status of a quasi-emperor, his comprehension of imperial might was far deeper than that of his two brothers, allowing him to recognize immediately this was a living emperor, and seemingly still in his prime. How could this be possible? The two demons behind him came forth to support him. Elder brother, why have you seated yourself? Quickly summon the imperial weapon. The bareheaded leader gritted his teeth and retrieved the lotus lantern. A resplendent azure light surged forth like a silken thread, soaring towards the heavens. The ethereal image of a woman clad in green emerged. She bore an uncanny resemblance to Ji Xian's vision within the lotus seed, her figure graceful and alluring, her features exquisitely delicate, captivating all who beheld her. Her name was Qingqing, the deity of this imperial weapon. In the next moment, she merely waved her hand gently, and divine light erupted, casting the entire firmament in hues of violet and azure. At that instant, the Emperor rider's formidable presence was somewhat mitigated. Ji Xian, seated within his miniature world, abruptly opened his eyes, divine radiance emanating from him, as if he could pierce through the ages, catching sight of the azure lantern. How could this be a deity? He pondered, bewildered. The cultivation of a deity is an arduous endeavor, entirely contingent upon the one who bestowed the title. If her original master could not be located, how could she be imparted with teachings? Never mind, I shall not dwell on such matters. Ji Xian shook his head and rose to his feet. Emperor rider, seize that lotus lantern for me. Chapter 185. The disciple of the chaotic body across the vast expanse of the wilderness, the battle might of the Emperor rider cleaved a profound chasm. Viewed from above, the dark abyss coiled like a great dragon, exuding an imposing aura. Within the abyss, darkness enveloped all, save for a solitary golden point of light that moved slowly. Clad in resplendent golden battle attire, the Emperor rider unleashed a torrent of might that surged towards the army of the underworld mountain. Surrender the azure lotus lantern. He commanded the distant troops, his voice cold and laced with lethal intent. This was the final ultimatum, a declaration of death. The bareheaded leader, seized by this overwhelming presence, was jolted awake, staring blankly at the distant Emperor rider, his limbs trembling in panic, unsure of how to proceed. This was the second emperor he had ever encountered. Meanwhile, the wolf-headed leader had already lost his wits, collapsing in a faint, while the serpent-headed leader fixated on the azure lotus lantern, his expression revealing a flicker of scheming intent. Elder, are you the Shin Emperor? The bareheaded leader stammered, his voice quivering. If this individual truly had arrived, the Underworld Mountain's plan to assault the 3,000 prefectures would be utterly thwarted. Throughout history, the emergence of an emperor on the battlefield often had the power to overturn entire star realms and extinguish worlds, their deterrent force beyond question. In this moment, with the Underworld Emperor absent, they were bereft of hope for victory. The Emperor rider shook his head, a chilling voice emanating from his armor. No, I am merely one of the knights under my master's banner. The bareheaded leader's countenance changed dramatically upon hearing this. What master? Are you merely a guardian knight? He could hardly believe what he had just heard. Such a formidable presence, rivaling even the Ninth Palace Master, was simply a personal servant of the Xian Emperor. He then shifted his gaze toward the distant white divine carriage, as if he had come to a realization. Senior, I voluntarily offer my treasures. Could you spare the lives of my 3 brothers? The bare-headed leader inquired. No, you must perish. This is the master's recent command. The Emperor Knight's voice was as cold as iron, advancing step by step, the murderous aura from his spear already permeating the air. The bare-headed leader nodded, releasing his grip on the ancient blue lamp. He had no intention of resisting. The chasm between them was insurmountable, an abyss that no imperial weapon could bridge. The blue ancient lamp emitted a faint azure light, slowly ascending. The specter of the woman grew dim. Imperial weapons could not unleash their full might in the hands of cultivators below the imperial realm. As long as no one activated them, the deities would not strike. Suddenly, a figure darted by, firmly grasping the blue lamp in his hand. It was none other than the serpent-headed leader. Second brother, what are you doing? The bare-headed leader shouted. Ha ha ha, brother, since death is inevitable, why not fight for a chance? The troops of the underworld mountain have never known defeat. If we fall here today, we shall die in battle. With that, he raised the blue lamp, channeling sacred energy into it. The specter of the woman re-emerged, with chaotic stars above her head and her feet treading upon an endless abyss. Alas, it is futile. Your actions will only lead to a more tragic demise. The bare-headed leader sighed. With a rumble, the lotus lamp was activated, the lampstand spinning, releasing torrents of chaotic energy. The gray mist surged endlessly, flowing like a great river, transforming into cascading ribbons hanging from the heavens. The entire realm was enveloped in this fog, morphing into a mysterious womb. Chaos births the heavens, the woman murmured, raising her hand to manipulate the void, tracing water-like lines before suddenly striking forward with a palm. Instantly, the entire world was shrouded in gray chaotic mist, sealing both the dark abyss and the clouds in the sky. Chaos, the primordial path of creation, stands eternal and indestructible, wielding immense power. The Emperor Knight coldly remarked. A great sage activating an imperial weapon cannot amount to much. With that, he stepped into the void, ascending to the heavens, piercing through the chaotic womb with his spear. Grasping the golden spear, he plunged into the chaotic mist, wielding it with great force, unfaltering. Golden divine light shot from the spear tip, transforming into golden dragons that radiated outward in all directions. The dragon's aura surged, sharp and fierce, shattering the space with each swing. After unleashing 81 strikes, half of the chaotic ribbons in the sky were severed. The woman in blue slightly closed her eyes, unfastening her garment to reveal her delicate form. Her skin etched with countless chaotic runes, flowing with azure and violet light. Stabilize. With this single word, the shattered chaotic ribbons instantly reverted to their original state, forming an immense hand that descended upon them. Break. The Emperor Knight summoned his divine sword, cleaving the colossal hand in twain. With a resolute grip on his weapon, he charged forward, shattering all defenses of the azure lamp with an unstoppable force, piercing the serpent-headed cultivator through the heart, causing him to explode into countless fragments. You too. Advance. The Emperor's eyes radiated divine light, akin to dual particle beams, piercing through the bare-headed cultivators and even the army behind them. Oh, the journey to the Nether Mountain ends in defeat. The bare-headed cultivator's body disintegrated, his essence depleted. In his final moments, his gaze reflected both unwillingness and resignation. Come here. The Emperor waved his hand, channeling arcane power to draw the azure lotus lamp closer. The woman in green attempted to resist with the imperial weapon, but in the next instant, she sensed a profoundly familiar aura. In the distance, Ji Xian stood at the chariot's yoke, holding a blue holy lotus seed, observing her quietly. It's you. A look of astonishment crossed Qingqing's cold, beautiful face. Earlier, a third of her original form had been lost across the unpredictable divine sea, claimed by a young master. Feeling the presence of the man in white, her heartbeat quickened. He was indeed a living emperor. Perhaps he could aid her in reconstructing her physical body. Ji Xian gazed at the information panel of his disciple, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. Name, Qingqing. Gender, female. Talent, SSS. Race, Eternal Azure Sky Lotus. Age, 359, 964, ninth life. Physique, chaotic body, one of the strongest physiques under the heavens. A primordial Tao body. Come forth, Ji Xian addressed the Emperor. Yes, the Emperor swiftly appeared before Ji Xian, kneeling on one knee while presenting the azure lamp with both hands. This lotus seed is for you. Ji Xian embedded the seed into the lamp's recess. 3 lotus seeds stood together, radiating a brilliant divine light. Qingqing's form solidified significantly, for the 3 seeds were her essence, now replenished, her aura intensified. May I ask you, do you wish to take me as your master? Ji Xian got straight to the point, aware of the desires of the woman before him. It would be an immense honor. A gentle smile graced her lips as she knelt in reverence. I pay my respects to my master. Ding. Host has successfully accepted a disciple. Acquired Immortal Cultivation Technique. Chaotic Divine Guide. Chapter 186. The Primordial Chaotic Body. Anomalies in the Wheel Sea. Inside the fearless divine chariot, a river of azure waves flowed under a cerulean sky. Ji Xian dismissed the other disciples, remaining alone with Qingqing. Just as I suspected, Ji Xian activated his divine sight, perceiving the essence of Qingqing's being. She was originally a chaotic azure lotus, transformed into an imperial weapon deity. Stripped of her physical form and left with only her chaotic essence. Though she could wield the imperial weapon and exhibit power nearly akin to an emperor, her potential was ultimately limited. Without a physical body to augment her, her path of cultivation would be hindered. Moreover, she could not channel sacred power to her Wheel C for transmission of teachings. Since we cannot impart teachings for now, let us recreate your essence, Ji Xian murmured. He then called out, System, get to work. Coming right up, initiating the recreation of disciple Qingqing's essence. Recreation successful. Congratulations to the host for acquiring the eternal grade physique, primordial chaotic body. This physique is forged from the primordial chaos that first emerged at the dawn of creation, capable of devouring myriad paths and refining them. Is this yet another ancient grade physique? Ji Xian recalled that his own Sword God King physique also belonged to this echelon. System. What does it mean to be of ancient grade? His curiosity was piqued by this long unseen concept. The term ancient grade refers to the highest physique since the birth of heaven and earth, one that can never be surpassed by any other. The Sword God King physique is the foremost physique of the sword path, while the primordial chaos physique is the pinnacle of the chaos path. Ji Xian nodded. Let us merge. Merging in progress. Moments later, profound changes began to unfold within Ji Xian's body. The Wheel C trembled violently, with golden waters surging tumultuously, illuminating the inner dome in a radiant gold. A cluster of chaotic light gradually materialized, swiftly consuming the sacred power within the Wheel C. It evolved into a massive vortex, deep and enigmatic, reminiscent of a black hole. The once domineering source of chaotic pathways within the Wheel C now oscillated vigorously, inexplicably drawn toward the vortex. Occasionally, formless and colorless sources of chaos were absorbed into the whirlpool. Can chaos indeed devour chaos? How intriguing. Ji Xian did not intervene, for the essence of the chaotic source had not vanished entirely. Instead, it transformed into a part of the chaotic vortex. Hours passed, and the vortex expanded rapidly, now exceeding a breadth of 100,000 miles. This was no exaggeration. It is well known that at Ji Xian's level of cultivation, he could already nurture worlds within him. To him, a mere 100,000 miles was insignificant. Yet in the next moment, Ji Xian seemed to sense something. His expression shifting, he observed that the five-colored celestial fire, the source of spatial pathways, the essence of creation, and the source of the sword path all began to tremble, collectively rushing toward the vortex. What could this signify? Ji Xian's confusion deepened. Could it be that the chaos path was too formidable? No, the essence of creation, being of the ancient paths as well, was also drawn in, which was quite abnormal. He refrained from intervening, eagerly anticipating what would transpire next. After several sources were absorbed, the connection with Ji Xian remained intact, merely nurtured by the space within the vortex for the time being. With no resistance, the vortex expanded swiftly, and after several more hours, it reached nearly 1,000,000 miles in width. This had already encompassed half the space within the Wheel C. Yet it showed no signs of halting. Once the path sources were depleted, it began to consume the waters of the Wheel C. A thunderous roar echoed as the tumultuous sea, drawn by the vortex's pull, surged wildly toward it. This was a lengthy process, for Ji Xian's Wheel C was exceedingly vast. Time flowed unknowingly, and eventually, the Wheel C was emptied, leaving only the swirling vortex and a transparent figure suspended within. This was the imperial might that Ji Xian had forged himself, supported by the mandate of the ancestral deity, transcending time and space. With a splash, the vortex seemed to come alive, autonomously soaring toward the small figure, as if proclaiming, Mine, mine, all mine. The transparent figure naturally would not allow itself to be easily consumed. It slowly opened its eyes, emitting two bolts of lightning that struck towards the vortex. With a resounding crack, the vortex transformed into a massive hand, dispersing that gleam of light from its eyes and forcefully pressing forward. For a moment, the black hole engaged in battle with the figure, as if vying for dominion over this realm. This left Ji Xian both amused and perplexed. How curious that something belonging to him could engage in combat. With a thunderous impact, the transparent figure slapped the vortex, sending it flying thousands of miles away. The vortex spun uncontrollably, finally regaining its form. The force of the figure's attack was so overwhelming that it nearly shattered the vortex. Above the vortex, a dazzling array of colorful celestial flames manifested, radiating brilliance and intensity. Yet, to Ji Xian, it appeared as if the vortex was protesting against the transparent figure. The two entities entangled once more in a fierce struggle. Ultimately, however, the vortex succumbed to the transparent figure, which captured it in its grasp. Sufficiently entertained, it was time to release the sources of the great Tao. The Wheel C had been emptied, and Ji Xian felt his own body growing weak. Stretching his back, he conveyed his intentions to the figure. But in the next moment, an odd sound emerged. The transparent figure opened its mouth wide and devoured the vortex in one gulp. What on earth are you doing? Ji Xian could not help but exclaim in disbelief. This was no trivial matter. The vortex contained all his accumulated achievements in cultivation. Should anything go awry, his cultivation would be ruined. As expected, numerous fissures appeared along the interior walls of the Wheel C. With a resounding crash, a large segment of the boundary wall collapsed, plummeting down like shattered glass. However, the sea below had already vanished, and that segment of the boundary wall was instantly reduced to powder upon impact. This was a catalyst for an explosion. The cracked boundary walls began to fall, crashing into the desiccated seabed and transforming into fine dust. Ji Xian gasped, realizing he had landed himself in grave trouble. If the Wheel C was destroyed, how could he continue his cultivation? He directed his energy through his meridians, but the more he did so, the faster the Wheel C deteriorated. Ji Xian let out a pained scream as blood soaked his garments, staining his once white attire a vivid red. He now felt excruciating pain in his lower abdomen, as if it were about to shatter. This was the first time he had experienced such intense agony since entering the world. Although the tribulation of the ninth heavenly calamity had also been painful, it ultimately served as a refinement that made Ji Xian stronger. The destruction of the Wheel C, however, was different. It struck at his very essence. The essence's destruction could lead to the trivial loss of cultivation or, at worst, his demise. Meanwhile, Qingqing was obliviously refining a newly acquired lotus seed. Lost in slumber and unaware of the unfolding catastrophe, tormented by unbearable pain, Ji Xian eventually succumbed to unconsciousness. Days passed, and the disciples roamed the mountains and rivers of the fearless divine chariot, unaware that their master was on the brink of decay. Chapter 187. The Mysterious Embryo. The divine tree of 10,000 paths within the fearless divine chariot. The world remained eerily silent, unchanged as ever. In a desolate field, a bloodstained figure in white stood in stark contrast to the surrounding landscape. Ji Xian's countenance was twisted with rage, frozen in place. Having fainted for an indeterminate number of days, within him, the wheel of fate lay shattered, his Dao fruit rendered useless, and everything had reverted to its primordial state. Although Ji Xian had succumbed to unconsciousness, fragments of awareness lingered, allowing him to gaze upon the devastation within the wheel of fate, sighing in despair. After painstakingly reaching this level of cultivation, he had unwittingly ruined it all. Damn it. System, revert time back to the Qingyuan sect. Let us begin anew. Let us restart and play this game earnestly. Ji Xian had completely given up. Host, are you certain? As these words faded, the thunderous sound of the great Tao of time reverberated in Ji Xian's ears. No way, don't tell me this function actually exists, Ji Xian said half-jokingly. Indeed. It is natural. There is nothing the system cannot accomplish, only what the host cannot conceive. I thought you merely dispensed rewards. I never knew you were this formidable. This system is a unique existence across the myriad realms, omniscient and omnipotent. Even if the host wishes to ascend to immortality this very moment, this system can facilitate it. Ji Xian was secretly astonished. The path to immortality had been severed for countless eons, and he wondered if this dogged system could truly deliver. Fine, then grant me an immortal position to toy with. Hee, not a chance. What? Then what is the point of your words? If you cannot fulfill that, send me back to the Qingyuan sect, and let us start over. Hee, not happening. Just as Ji Xian was about to unleash a torrent of curses, an unusual sound emerged from the shattered wheel of fate. He directed his primordial spirit into the wheel, extending his hand to gently clear away the debris. To his astonishment, he beheld a diminutive figure, identical to himself, seated quietly amidst the ruins. The little being radiated a spectrum of vibrant colors, gleaming like the stars in the heavens. Its surface exuded a rich aura of chaos, swirling like clouds. Alas, my Dao fruit is ruined, but it has given rise to you. I hope you can conjure something wondrous, Ji Xian murmured with a bittersweet smile. This was his own condensed imperial might, achieved without the aid of the system. Now, apart from that infuriating system, this little figure was his sole companion. Suddenly, the chaotic energy began to flow and intertwine, birthing streaks of profound yellow light that converged toward the center. In the next moment, the little being began to tremble violently, diminishing in size. This transformation was also evident in its age. What once resembled a figure akin to Ji Xian was now regressing, young adult, teenager, child, until it became an infant, and the metamorphosis showed no signs of cessation. Oh no, Ji Xian gasped. It couldn't possibly be transforming into a fetal form, could it? His suspicion was confirmed moments later. The little being indeed morphed into a fetus, cradled by tendrils of chaotic energy, curled up quietly. A luminous point appeared at the heart of the fetus, strikingly conspicuous against the pitch-black wheel of fate. The mystical fetus. Ji Xian recognized the essence of this fetus in an instant. Eons ago, before the universe took form, it existed as an unrefined mystical embryo. It was only after an energy imbalance caused a cataclysmic explosion that the myriad realms came into being. The primal essence is the foundation of the Tao. It is said that the cultivation system of the 9 heavens and 10 earths was established by a certain immortal. The Wheel of C was created based on the principles of this primal essence. Now, with Ji Xian's Wheel of C destroyed and the unscrupulous consuming the chaotic origin, It unexpectedly evolved into the primal essence. This is not necessarily a misfortune. Although the path of the 9 heavens and 10 earths has been severed, I have given birth to the primal essence of heaven and earth. Does this imply that I am to forge my own path? Ji Xian realized that his cultivation had reached the pinnacle of the first realm of the emperor's domain, signifying that the foundation of this realm had been firmly established. The road ahead would be a celestial ascent against the heavens. With the path of the 9 heavens and 10 earths compromised, and immortals absent for countless years, the emergence of the primal essence presents an opportunity for him. Suddenly, a tremendous sound erupted from within the fetal form. A dazzling light burst forth from the position of its heart, and countless life opportunities surged forth. Immediately, a 7-colored divine light shot out of the wheel of Si, ascending along Ji Xian's spine and bones. This sacred light, imbued with the essence of the primal Tao, continued to spread towards the head. During this process, the vibrant divine light emanated numerous tributaries, intertwining with Ji Xian's nerves, blood, and muscle groups. In an instant, a colossal tree, towering to an unfathomable height, emerged. Though it was not a tree in essence, it appeared as such due to the divine light adhering to Ji Xian's various organs. From the trunk, new leaves and buds sprouted rapidly, blossoming into flowers of the Tao. These flowers varied in shape, some resembling swords, others bells, and some even engulfed in flames. The divine light along the spine continued to ascend until it reached the position of the brain. With a resounding thud, the sea of consciousness was opened, and countless chaotic energies rushed in, filling it to the brim. After a moment, the chaos intertwined, giving rise to streams of purple aura. The sea of consciousness was shrouded in a haze, obscuring all clarity, reminiscent of the primordial chaos at the dawn of creation. Chaos gives rise to the primordial. The primordial engenders creation. Creation manifests all things, Ji Xian mused. The magnificent divine tree had fully grown, standing tall within Ji Xian, rustling and resonating in unison. Ji Xian named it the Tree of 10,000 Paths. At the core of the trunk, 6 gateways were established, representing the realms of Ming Dao, Fa Xiang, Supreme, Bai Jia, Mythical, and Feathered Ascension. Ascending further, one would reach Ji Xian's head, where a primordial world resided. He vaguely sensed that by breaking through the 6 gateways and piercing through the chaos, he could achieve an immortal status. Presently, Ji Xian's cultivation origin lingered at the threshold of the first gateway, just a step away from the Fa Xiang realm. At this moment, he comprehended fully. The occurrence of this situation was entirely due to the transparent being exceedingly defiant. With the path of the 9 heavens and 10 earths compromised, the transparent being realized that remaining within the wheel of Si would ultimately lead nowhere. Thus, he transformed himself into the primal essence, becoming the seed from which the tree of 10,000 paths would grow, paving the way for Ji Xian. Unprecedented in history, and with no successors to follow. Without relying on external forces, he forged an entirely new path through his own strength. This signifies that Ji Xian's ascension will no longer be hindered by the barriers of heaven and earth. Once his cultivation reaches a certain level, he shall naturally attain the Tao. This is a momentous occasion, one he stumbled upon unexpectedly. The path to immortality lies ahead, awaiting his exploration. Perhaps I shall be the first to achieve immortality in this grand epoch, Ji Xian thought, clenching his fists. At this moment, his physical form had fully recovered, and he was awakened. Thunder rumbled. Above the fearless divine chariot, dark clouds of thunder began to coalesce. It was time to face the tribulation. Ji Xian rose, brushed off the dust from his body, and stepped outside. Chapter 188. The Realm of Dharma. Returning to the sect in the distance, thunderclouds roiled, and countless bolts of lightning brewed ominously. The earth had plunged into complete darkness, devoid of any light. A fierce wind swept down from the heavens, eerie as the wails of lost spirits. The tribulation of the imperial realm is immensely terrifying. A moment's inattention could lead even an emperor to fall. Ji Xian stood calmly at the chariot's yoke, gazing serenely at the sky, unfazed by the impending thunderstorm of the Dharma realm. The fearless divine chariot was absorbed back into his being. Come forth, Ji Xian uttered softly. Thunder rumbled. In the next instant, a torrential downpour of furious lightning cascaded down like a deluge. The electric currents, now resembling liquid, transcended the mere classification of lightning. Confronted with the terrifying resonance of thunder, Ji Xian did not evade. Instead, he opened his meridians and pores, actively drawing it in. Inviting the lightning into his body was an audacious act. Should he succeed, he would forge a powerful physique. Should he fail, he would be obliterated. Since ancient times, there have been rare instances where saints of the realm successfully drew in lightning. Yet none had ever been reported from the imperial realm. However, Ji Xian paid no heed. Having absorbed the tribulations of the 9 heavenly tribulation, what was this minor thunderstorm to him? The intensity of the thunder surged, engulfing Ji Xian and drowning the mountains. The tribulation persisted for nearly 2 years before he naturally transcended to the realm of Dharma. This tribulation stirred the curiosity of cultivators from several surrounding continents, who flocked to witness the spectacle. Upon witnessing the devastation of the northern wilderness, a wave of astonishment swept through them, prompting a hasty retreat. The inhabitants of Ming Mountain also came to investigate, reacting similarly to the previous groups. The sheer magnitude of the thunderstorm led them to believe it was a divine punishment rather than an individual undergoing tribulation. Some even attributed the thunderous force to the demise of the Bear-Head leader and his troops, subsequently retreating as well. During this time, Ji Xian drew the lightning into his being, refining the myriad divine trees. Despite enduring such a terrifying onslaught, they remained unbroken. Lightning symbolizes destruction, yet it also embodies vitality. The sparse leaves flourished abundantly, even producing fruits of the Tao, which glimmered with a crystalline brilliance akin to stars. From this tribulation, Ji Xian made a remarkable discovery. Within him, several hundred miniature worlds had emerged. These worlds were no different from ordinary realms, each inhabited by living beings, including humans. The worlds had just been formed, their cultivation levels still low, with the strongest among them barely reaching the foundational realm. Outside these worlds, the stars shone brightly, and the celestial expanse was deep and tranquil. Among the branches swayed many colorful stars, while his blood transformed into a river of stars, flowing gently. At this moment, it seemed as though Ji Xian's body contained an entire universe, giving rise to myriad creations. The transformation was so astonishing that Ji Xian felt as though he had transcended the human race, existing instead as a primordial being. The notion of establishing a new lineage crossed his mind. Ji clan? Kuan clan? Xian clan? Jian clan? He chuckled softly, momentarily indecisive. Never mind, he thought. Let me focus on solidifying my cultivation and return to Jinyan Mountain. He then summoned Qingqing. I pay my respects, master, she said, clad in an ethereal green silk dress. Her fair skin and serene demeanor exuded an otherworldly grace. Standing upon a cerulean lotus platform, she bowed to Ji Xian. Ji Xian inquired, you are not a primordial deity, are you? Qingqing nodded in affirmation. Primordial deities are true divine beings, existing alongside immortals. As far as I know, to renounce your divine status, one must acquire the source mark of the enactor. Who is the one that conferred this upon you? Qingqing replied. It is the master of the 9th palace of Ming Mountain, the Howling Sky Wolf God. Upon hearing this, Ji Xian stroked his chin, murmuring to himself. It seems I must go to Ming Mountain and eliminate this Howling Sky Hound, subsequently framing the Tai Chi forbidden zone for the deed. Let them engage in a dog-eat-dog scenario. What a splendid scheme. Qingqing interjected. In fact, there is no need to go to Ming Mountain. For the Howling Sky Wolf God's external manifestation lies near Jinyan Mountain. It is merely an incarnation. How can it possess the source mark? Ji Xian questioned. But is it not an ordinary incarnation? Qingqing shook her head. This is no ordinary avatar. The Wolf God, in his pursuit of breaking through to the supreme realm, utilized secret techniques to condense an external entity. This external manifestation is unlike an ordinary doppelganger and can be regarded as an extension of his true self. Once the two entities merge, the Wolf God will break through to the supreme realm, becoming a true supreme. Currently, this external manifestation is at the perfected Emperor's realm, and the Wolf God is preparing to attract the heavenly tribulation of the Emperor's realm, forcefully breaching the defenses of Jinyan Mountain. Ji Xian nodded, surprised at the cunning of this Howling Sky Hound. Very well, he mused. Let me return and keep him on a leash as a watchdog for the Shantian Dao sect. He stowed away the azure lotus lamp and proceeded forward. The figure clad in white gradually became ethereal, vanishing into the void. On another front, at the Shantian Dao sect, the river god stood upon the water's surface, holding a golden and a silver fishing rod, addressing the jade-white Qilin on the shore. My dear little Qilin, did you drop this golden fishing rod, or this silver one? The female Qilin sat thoughtfully in her chair, genuinely contemplating. Either the gold or the silver would suffice. There seems to be no difference. Meanwhile, the male Qilin furrowed his brow, baring his teeth at the river god. Hey, I say, river god. Wasn't it a quasi-emperor grade gilded phoenix-patterned fishing rod that fell into the river just now? How has it suddenly downgraded to a mundane item in your possession? You wouldn't be trying to keep it for yourself, would you? Coughing lightly, the river god produced a lavishly adorned fishing rod from behind him. What nonsense are you two speaking? How could I possibly be that sort of person? Just then, a voice echoed in their minds. This emperor has returned. Prepare to activate the grand formation to fend off the impending assault. The atmosphere became momentarily frozen. Oh my, the sect master has returned. The male Qilin suddenly leaped from its seat, landing in the muddy bank of the river with a comical thud. In a flurry, the male and female Qilins hastily gathered the fishing equipment on the shore, fearing that Ji Xian would catch them shirking their duties. Over the years, various factions had attempted to storm the mountain, yet due to the presence of the celestial array, they had never even glimpsed the threshold of the outer sect. Naturally, these two guardian beasts of the sect had no tasks at hand. However, this did not grant them the liberty to be idle. The sect master had ascended to the rank of emperor. Why not linger a few more years? It had only been over 20 years since their departure, and now there was an urgency to return. Indeed, when ancient emperors vanished, it would often span thousands of years. The sect master had left in haste, and now returned with equal urgency. The male Qilin instructed the female Qilin, quickly, Dismantle that ice sculpture on Snow Mountain that resembles the sect master. It is utterly unsightly, and will surely earn us a beating upon his return. And do not forget the trash we discarded near the Imperial Palace in that desert. The two Cheelants swiftly tidied up the mess they had created, appearing like errant children caught in their mischief, despite being two great emperors. The river god observed the two Cheelants and chuckled. The sect master is indeed returning, but he has yet to arrive. He is still out there. And I have a mountain of tasks left to manage. Why the rush? Just as he spoke, the river god's voice abruptly faltered, as if sensing something. His entire being froze in place. You possess quite a bit of audacity, river god, a chilling male voice resonated. At this, the expressions of the three shifted dramatically. Amidst the vast azure waters, the air shimmered. Soon, a figure emerged from the void. Ji Xian, with a commanding presence, stood tall in snowy white attire. His long hair cascading like a waterfall. The river god gazed at this figure, feeling an unsettling sensation wash over him. This unease stemmed not merely from the authority of a superior over a subordinate, but also from an overwhelming force of the Tao. He sensed that Ji Xian had undergone a profound transformation. Yet, the river god scrutinized his surroundings, unable to discern the reason behind this change, muttering to himself in confusion. Ji Xian narrowed his eyes, surveying the trio. The two white jade Cheelants, their fur bristling, huddled together, trembling. Stand over there and do not move, understood? Ji Xian commanded, as if reprimanding two unruly children. The white jade Cheelants staggered to the riverbank, rising on their hind legs in a most comical manner. And master? Little gods have awaited your return. We were just educating these two young Cheelants, the river god said with a smile, rubbing his hands together as he took a few steps forward. Enough of that. You two, stand over there. Ji Xian chided sharply. Yes, the river god, shrinking his neck, obediently complied. Each of these three beings could rival the ancient emperors, capable of reigning supreme anywhere. Yet now, they were chastised by Ji Xian, not daring to utter a word of dissent. Stand here for 20 years without moving, as a punishment for you all. Do you have any objections? Ji Xuanma spoke with a chilling tone. None at all. The river god and the two Kirin shook their heads vigorously. For them, 20 years was merely the blink of an eye. Such a punishment was hardly consequential. The river god flattered. Master, your wisdom and martial prowess are unparalleled. Your heart as compassionate as that of a bodhisattva. River god, you shall serve 30 years. The river god was taken aback, about to protest, but found that Ji Xian had already vanished from sight. Meanwhile, outside Jinyun Mountain, within a military tent at Ming Mountain, high-ranking generals gathered for the expedition. The lowest among them being at the Saint Venerable realm. Atop a throne sat a massive werewolf, his sleek black fur glistening, 6 divine rings radiating from his back, and 6 pairs of fleshly wings unfurling. He was the Howling Sky Wolf God, the lord of the 9th palace of Ming Mountain. At that moment, he glared furiously at the assembly before him. A gaunt elder stepped forward and bowed. My lord, do you truly intend to proceed in this manner? Upon hearing this, the wolf god erupted in a torrent of curses. Damn it, how else should I act? A bunch of useless fools. You cannot even conquer a long-fallen imperial stronghold. And you dare to let one of my imperial weapons slip away. What use are you to me? The gaunt elder replied. My lord, please calm your anger. This is not due to our negligence, but rather the peculiarity of Jinyun Mountain. Whenever our forces prepare to attack, celestial lights burst forth from within the mountain, soaring into the heavens. Approaching even slightly results in our souls being shattered by that radiant glow. For this reason, we have already lost 3 quasi-emperors. My subordinates suspect that the former Sword Emperor left behind an unparalleled formation here. His divine powers transcend time. He must have foreseen such a day. Upon hearing this, the wolf god's fury only intensified. He descended from his throne and confronted the gaunt elder, delivering a fierce rebuke. How foolish are you? Do you really think I am ignorant of the Sword Emperor's background? Jinyun Mountain is merely a temporary resting place for the Sword Emperor millions of years ago. How can anyone be so foolish as to regard it as an ancient sacred ground? Can't you distinguish this as a deputy palace master? I have wasted my time on you. Today, I shall transcend the imperial tribulation here, employing the thunder to shatter Jinyun Mountain. As he spoke, he cast his gaze toward the distant Jinyun Mountain, seemingly recalling something, and then began to curse incessantly. Damn it, just thinking about it infuriates me. That incident in the unstable Divine Sea, I was actually disgusted by a mere little rascal in the Saint Realm. If it weren't for that foolish Kunping Emperor, I wouldn't have been unable to defeat him. And if it weren't for the limitations of the imperial weapon, how could I have lost? That what was his name? Ji Xian, just you wait. Even if I have to turn Jinyun Mountain upside down today, I will unearth you. I shall desecrate your ancestral grave with my wolf urine, summoning countless restless spirits to dance upon your grave at midnight. The wolf god continued his tirade, relentless in his disdain for Ji Xian, harboring an animosity that ran deep within his bones. The loss of the small imperial coffin in the unstable Divine Sea held grave significance for Ming Mountain. At the outset, he confidently assured the emperors, invoking the name of the comet, that this coffin would pave the way for success, surely capitalizing on the momentum of that year. Little did he anticipate that before reaching the shore, he would be thwarted by the white-clad human race. His dignity was utterly shattered. The cultivators of the underworld mountain, listening intently, felt a wave of anxiety wash over them. Only the Ninth Hall Master, a fellow emperor, could so brazenly insult another emperor. Although this external incarnation was merely a quasi-emperor, his imperial tribulation could descend at any moment, poised to transcend to the realm of emperors. In the distance, above the sea of clouds, Ji Xian, upon hearing these humiliating remarks, did not exhibit anger. Instead, he chuckled. Throughout history, all who have ascended to the imperial rank possess extraordinary temperaments. They are either resolute and prudent or exceedingly cunning. Each is a unique existence. This large black dog seemingly relies on verbal sparring to attain enlightenment. With this thought, he parted the clouds. In an instant, a resplendent golden sun pierced through the gaps in the clouds, illuminating the earth below. Ji Xian stood tall upon the cloud's edge, the sunlight casting his figure through the thin veil of mist. He appeared immensely grand, as if towering into the heavens, standing alone and seemingly bearing the weight of the entire azure sky. "Ah, foolish dog, what are you barking about?" The unexpected affront caused the wolf god's expression to stiffen. His sharp fangs were bared, and the flames of fury ignited within him. Who dared to address him in such a manner? In the next moment, as the mist dissipated, Ji Xian's visage became clear. "Damn it, it's you. The white-clad human race. Do you still remember your father?" The wolf god bellowed, baring his teeth at Ji Xian. Ji Xian certainly had not forgotten him, the wasteful emperor who had been repelled by his own grand sage power during the battle at the boundless divine sea. Though there were objective factors at play, Ji Xian believed it was an indisputable fact that he had driven this foolish dog back. "Enough talk. I shall come to slay you and reduce you to ashes." The wolf god roared, forming a claw imprint and charging forward. Yet, the moment he approached Ji Xian, a chilling sense of death coursed through him, causing his fur to stand on end. It seemed the wolf god sensed something, extending his divine consciousness outward. The imperial might he felt was more potent than that of a quasi-emperor. His gaze locked onto Ji Xian, as he unmistakably recognized that this aura belonged to the white-clad human race. With a subtle smile, Ji Xian raised a finger and flicked forth a strand of divine consciousness, striking the wolf man and sending him crashing to the ground. The wolf god, struck with immense force, plummeted, his body piercing through a dozen mountains. "This is impossible." He struggled to rise, staring in astonishment at the figure on the horizon. Initially, upon sensing this aura, the wolf god had thought the human race had employed some secret treasure. After all, this was a place where the Sword Emperor had resided, and several treasures made sense. However, from that last strike, he clearly felt that the imperial might emanated from the white-clad human race itself. After 20 years, from Grand Sage to Emperor. "How did you achieve this?" the wolf god exclaimed, his expression a mix of excitement and disbelief. He had spent nearly 600,000 years on his path to enlightenment, and it had taken him a staggering 150,000 years to ascend from quasi-emperor to emperor. What on earth is happening with Ji Xian before me? He could hardly believe the scene unfolding in front of his eyes. Could such a person truly exist in this world? Ji Xian stirred. Each step he took felt as if he traversed half the heavens. Then, a golden hand reached out towards the wolf god. "When I act, there is no need for your inquiry. The sect is sparsely populated, yet your lively disposition makes you well suited to serve as the guard of my Xiantian Dao sect. Come forth." Chapter 190. Speculation. Ji Xian channeled his divine power, conjuring a pair of colossal hands, radiating with immense force, reaching for the wolf god. The azure sky was instantly enveloped by a golden hand, descending like a heavy cloud. A vast pressure followed, overwhelming the cultivators of the underworld mountain. Who could not withstand this devastating aura, shattering on the spot into clouds of blood mist, including several quasi-emperors. Boom. Even before the palm strike landed, the earth below had already caved in violently, several towering mountains being crushed into the ground in an instant. The howling wolf god felt his bones cracking, his body fracturing under the tremendous force. This incarnation, nurtured with imperial treasures, was remarkably robust, capable of enduring a strike from an emperor. Yet, under the oppressive weight of Ji Xian's palm, it resembled shattered porcelain, on the brink of annihilation. The golden hand slowly closed, capturing the wolf god within its grasp. "Release me, you wretched human." The wolf god snarled defiantly, his teeth gritted. Ji Xian gazed at the wolf god's pitiful state and remarked, "The nurturing of your incarnation must have taken at least 50 or 60,000 years. Such a loss would be a pity. I offer you a chance. Serve as the gatekeeper for my Xiantian Dao sect for 10,000 years, and I shall let you go. What say you?" The wolf god, crushed by immense power, felt his eyes bulging crimson, blood oozing from the corners of his mouth, now darkened. "Go to hell. You, a lowly human, have delusions of grandeur." Even at this life and death juncture, he showed no sign of submission. Every emperor possesses their own dignity, preferring death over humiliation. "Then perish. Your primordial mark shall serve my needs." Ji Xian exerted his strength, preparing to crush the wolf god in his grasp. Suddenly, the skies darkened, and a fierce wind descended like a blade. Thunderclouds rolled in. and the sound of thunder shattered the silence, striking towards Ji Xian. The lightning, slender and white, twisted like a drawn arrow, swift and deadly. This was not an attack born of the wolf goddess will, but rather a divine punishment from the heavens. Ji Xian merely waved his sleeve to dispel the bolt of lightning. Unexpectedly, you summoned a heavenly tribulation before your demise. He released the wolf god from his grip. The heavenly tribulation manifests the will of the heavens. Even if the cultivator who invoked it were to perish, it would continue until the requisite calamity had concluded. Though Ji Xian remained unafraid, he had no desire to endure such punishment. The wolf god felt a sudden lightness in his body, his consciousness returning slightly as he slowly opened his eyes. I'm not dead? He was astonished, and upon gazing at the thunderclouds in the sky, he comprehended everything. Kikikikek. The heavens do not permit my demise. Who then can bring about my end? Ji Xian, the great catastrophe has arrived. I shall witness how you attempt to slay me. The wolf god roared with fervor, his maw agape in excitement. Thunder arise. He flapped his tattered wings, soaring into the sky to confront the impending tribulation. Crack! The lightning descended, exploding violently, engulfing the massive form of the wolf god. At this moment, he faced the tribulation with his battered body, enduring immense hardship and suffering. Yet, he felt neither discontent nor despair. Once I have transcended this trial, I shall undoubtedly carve that accursed Ji Xian into pieces. He has only just entered the realm of emperors. He cannot possibly be that formidable. I have been an emperor for countless millennia. In terms of combat experience, skills, and foundation, I far surpass him. Just watch, I shall annihilate him. Ha ha. Amidst the storm of thunder, the wolf god laughed maniacally, envisioning Ji Xian groveling at his feet, begging for mercy. On the other side, Ji Xian activated his divine sight, peering through the tempest to scrutinize the wolf god's essence. The aura emanating from this being was indistinguishable from that of its true form, almost equal in might. Indeed, such secret arts exist in this world that can create an exact replica of oneself. He realized that, aside from their cultivation levels, this external incarnation bore no difference from the wolf god's true form in the Mingshan Mountains. Reflecting on his past experiences, Ji Xian couldn't help but think of someone, Emperor Shi Tian. This individual was shrouded in mystery. In the impoverished lower realms, he produced an artifact imbued with imperial aura upon his arrival. The golden Buddha hand that appeared during Ji Xian's heavenly tribulation seemed to be linked to him as well. This monk had once claimed to be a deceased sage of the upper realms, reborn as a holy corpse buried within the lower realms to seek resurrection. As Ji Xian progressed from the mortal realm to the sacred realm, and then to the imperial realm, his experiences and insights had significantly expanded. In retrospect, such extraordinary abilities could not possibly be the work of an ordinary sage. Could the Emperor Shi Tian I encountered also be an external incarnation? Ji Xian speculated boldly. For that monk did not seem like a mere avatar. It appeared that a visit to the great Brahma heaven was in order. Ji Xian murmured to himself. At that moment, the wolf god's curses echoed through the storm. Ji Xian, I shall flay you alive. Ah, it hurts, it hurts. The wolf god, scorched and smoking from the lightning strikes, was on the verge of collapse, desperately trying to distract himself from the pain by hurling insults at Ji Xian. Ji Xian chuckled. Do you truly believe that within this tribulation, I am powerless against you? The wolf god shot him a glare, scoffing. The imperial tribulation is formidable. Even some unparalleled beings dare not claim they can withstand it. What can you, a newly ascended emperor, possibly do to me? Trash, trash, trash. Ji Xian chose not to engage further in argument. Instead, he summoned the power of creation in his palm and conjured an electrical switch. With a click, he pulled down the switch, a mischievous grin spreading across his face as he regarded the wolf god. What are you laughing at? Have you lost your mind? The wolf god mocked, showing no concern for the curious object in Ji Xian's grasp. Suddenly, the peak of Jinyun Mountain trembled, and a beam of celestial light shot forth from the celestial city, intertwining with the stormy clouds overhead. The originally overcast clouds transformed into an inky black, and the aura of the heavenly tribulation underwent a dramatic shift as violet lightning birthed streaks of golden radiance. An overwhelming pressure of celestial authority descended, instantly pinning the wolf god into the depths of the earth, rendering him immobile. What in the world have you done? His expression turned to one of terror as the intensity of the tribulation surged 3 to 4-fold. The voice of Ji Xian resonated. This is both destruction and rebirth. If you cannot withstand it, you shall perish. If you endure, you shall ascend to emperor status, with your power significantly enhanced. As the leader of the Dao sect, he harbored hopes that his guardian would grow robust. The wolf god struggled to rise, clumsily clawing his way out from the ground. Damn it, you said that. If I survive, the first one I will slay is you. With that, the wolf god plunged back into the tempest of lightning. Chapter 191. Celestial beings above, divine entities below in the distance. The pitch-black clouds churned like a blazing inferno. The howling sky wolf god bathed in the radiance of lightning, enduring an intensified heavenly tribulation. Ji Xian's actions represented both an opportunity and a peril for him. The thunder rumbled mightily, as golden lightning flickered and swayed like tendrils, each strand capable of collapsing a great mountain. The celestial aura spread across the heavens, suffused with five-colored brilliance, an exhibition of extraordinary splendor. I shall exact vengeance once I emerge, he bellowed, his indignation escalating with every strike of lightning. Ji Xian observed him with an amused expression. Within the domain of the Xian Tian Dao sect, he wielded supreme authority over celestial matters. Even the mightiest of emperors would find life and death merely a matter of his whims. Endure this tribulation, but do not forget the grace I have bestowed upon you. Ji Xian laughed heartily. The tribulations continued to rain down, shattering the distant mountains into mere dust. Ji Xian summoned the Emperor Rider. My lord. The Emperor Rider emerged from the void, resplendent in golden armor, exuding an air of unmatched valor. I have several tasks for you to undertake. Please, my lord, instruct me. Ji Xian outlined. First, eliminate the remnants of the Ming Mountain army scattered across the surrounding states. Second, after cleansing the states, utilize your power to erase the energy boundaries between them, unifying them as territory of the Xiantian Dao sect. Third, rename the merged states as Xianzhou, welcoming the displaced citizens due to war and permitting the establishment of cities and sections. As an added incentive, those who establish sects will be exempt from all taxes and corvée for 1,000 years. Those who settle as commoners will enjoy a 200-year exemption. However, the ravaged landscapes must be restored by their own efforts. Fourth, issue a declaration that the Xiantian Dao sect has officially emerged. Any forces wishing to ally may come forth. Those who arrive without the imperial lineage must revere the Xian emperor and acknowledge me as their sovereign. All others shall be treated as allies. That shall suffice for now. You may depart. Ji Xian waved his hand. Upon hearing this, the Emperor Rider felt a surge of joy. My lord is planning to expand our influence. My time to showcase my abilities is finally at hand. Indeed, he responded. In a flash of divine light, the Emperor Rider vanished into the horizon. Ji Xian contemplated his forthcoming strategies. Since returning from the primordial Forbidden Zone, he had witnessed an abundance of transformations along the way. Some great sects have endured for hundreds of thousands of years, yet in a single night, they can be utterly overturned by strife. Conversely, certain waning sects seize the opportunity amid chaos to rise anew, flourishing against all odds. The tide of fate has arrived, and all beings are vying for supremacy. The Xiantian Dao sect, an eternal lineage under the dominion of a great emperor, naturally seeks to partake in this unfolding saga. Driven by self-interest, he gazes toward the celestial city above the sea of clouds. Now that most matters have settled, and the myriad heroes have gathered, it is prudent to safeguard the sect for a time. A year has passed. The once tumultuous thunderclouds have gradually calmed, and a majestic figure emerges from the inky heavens. The howling sky wolf god has successfully transcended his tribulation, exuding a torrent of dark energy, his imperial might cascading outward like a surging river. My external incarnation has achieved success in the tribulation. Once I return to the Dark Mountain, I shall merge with my true self and break through to the supreme realm. At that moment, I shall return to confront the Kunping Emperor and see how he dares to challenge me. Ha 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 ha. He laughs uproariously, his robust muscles quivering with delight. However, before returning, one must first eliminate an adversary. The howling sky wolf god fixates on the distant mountain gate, licking his lips. His massive claws clench tightly. No need for you to seek me out. I have come. From the horizon, the ethereal voice of Ji Xian resonates like a dream. Boom. The vast imperial might envelopes the heavens, casting the entire celestial expanse in a golden hue. The void unfurls like a scroll, and Ji Xian steps forth, clad in white, exuding confidence and composure. In his hand, he holds a pitch-black chain. Ha ha ha. I did not seek you. Yet here you are, delivering yourself to death. Stand still and witness as I extract your soul and refine your flesh. Ha ha ha. All your secrets, along with those 2 celestial artifacts, shall be mine. With that, the wolf god extends his claw towards Ji Xian, his paw print descending with a tempestuous black gale, causing the mountains to tremble as if they might shatter at any moment. During the battle in the boundless divine sea, the wolf god was repelled by the great sage Ji Xian, enduring great humiliation and harboring thoughts of vengeance. Today, the opportunity has arisen. Die. Faced with such a colossal assault, Ji Xian does not even attempt to defend himself. The wolf god sneers. Do you believe your physical form can withstand my strike? Do you truly think yourself a reincarnation of the heavenly emperor? I would not mind slaying a great emperor today, staining the Jinyun mountain with blood. The wolf god crashes down heavily, transforming his palm into a claw, amplifying the force of his strike. Boom. In an instant, thunderclouds reassemble, unleashing myriad bolts of lightning, all aimed at Ji Xian. Ji Xian caresses the ancient blue lotus lamp in his hand, his expression tranquil. What of the ancient heavenly emperor? His gaze sharpens as he declares with authority, in the territory of Jinyun mountain, I am both the celestial being above and the divine entity below. Regardless of your brilliance, you shall be subdued. Then, Ji Xian commands the fist imprint. Send it back. Buzz. In the next moment, a peculiar occurrence unfolds. The surging imperial might inexplicably alters its course, rushing toward the wolf god. The previously oppressive tide of energy halts abruptly, reversing direction and expanding toward the wolf god. The words of Ji Xian were like a gentle breeze, sending all encroaching forces back. How could this be possible? The expression on the face of the Howling Sky Wolf God changed dramatically. Battles within the realm of emperors are often exceedingly brutal and tragic. At such a profound level of cultivation, every strike could overturn mountains and rivers, obliterate the sun, moon, and stars, and even extinguish an entire world. He, the wolf god, endowed with unparalleled talent, had ascended to emperor status in less than 1,000,000 years, yet now, with all his might, he found himself repelled by a mere utterance from Ji Xian. Get back! He gritted his teeth, swinging his fists ferociously forward. But in the next moment, the force of his own punch surged back toward him. In that instant, he felt it completely. Above Jinyun Mountain, a magnificent city could be faintly discerned. At that moment, an immense array was radiating a terrifying might, forcing his own power back upon him. What could possibly possess the ability to nullify the strength of an emperor? Could it be a celestial grade formation? I refuse to accept this. Boom. The force he had unleashed struck the wolf god mountain directly, sending him hurtling backward. Ah! The wolf god cried out in agony, nearly shattering into pieces. His full force strike had rebounded upon himself. With a whoosh, Ji Xian emerged from the billowing clouds of dust, his white robes untouched and impeccably pristine. The wolf god, eyes wide with fury, bellowed, "How did you accomplish this? Have you truly inherited the legacy of the celestial emperor?" Just as he attempted to rise and retaliate, he found himself firmly pinned to the ground, unable to move. Ji Xian descended before him, strolling leisurely as he fastened a black chain around the wolf god's neck. "From this day forth, you shall serve as the watchdog of my Shantian Dao sect." Named M. Ji Xian frowned, beads of sweat forming on his forehead, as if he were laboriously pondering something. The atmosphere suddenly became thick with tension, leaving the wolf god somewhat bewildered. "For heaven's sake, just say what you need to say. Stop dragging this out." Ji Xian remained silent. 3 days passed. With his eyes gently closing, Ji Xian suddenly opened them, a liberated smile gracing his face. "You shall be called Howling Skyhound." Chapter 192, Howling Skyhound. With a rustle, the black chain in Ji Xian's hand fluttered in the wind. Upon hearing the name Howling Skyhound, the wolf god stood frozen. He, a once-in-a-generation prodigy, having cultivated for hundreds of thousands of years to become an emperor and the master of the 9th hall of the Underworld Mountain, wielded supreme power and was one of the highest rulers of the Underworld Mountain. Yet here he was, addressed by Ji Xian with such a demeaning name for a dog. How could this be? "You will not get away with this. You dare to humiliate me so. I shall take you down with me. Come then, beast. If we die, we die together. I will obliterate your sect as well." The wolf god roared, his imperial dignity insulted. A divine fire ignited at his brow, glowing ever brighter as a terrifying aura began to spread, seemingly on the verge of self-detonation. Ji Xian smiled softly, merely pointing a finger to invoke the power of the celestial grade formation, effortlessly sealing the wolf god's soul energy. Zing! The spark ignited at the wolf god's brow was instantly extinguished, and no matter how he tried to summon it, there was no further response. "Ah! I will kill you." The wolf god was utterly despondent, having begun to believe the words spoken by Ji Xian. Everything around the vicinity of Jinyun Mountain was at the mercy of this white-clad human. Even an emperor would meet with bitter regret here. "How dare you resort to underhanded tactics, sealing me with the might of mountains and rivers? If you possess the courage, face me in a fair battle. You despicable humans, cowards, and treacherous little men, I shall urinate upon your ancestors' graves." The wolf god, undeterred, howled frantically at the brink of death, preferring to have his head severed by Ji Xian rather than be tethered like a mere watchdog. Ji Xian stood atop the wolf god's colossal chest, akin to a mountain, and waved his hand dismissively. "Enough of your wailing. You shall have better days ahead. Your current appearance is far too frightful. I shall grant you a transformation." With those words, a surge of transformative power erupted from Ji Xian's palm, enveloping the wolf god's form. Boom! The transformative force, capable of generating and altering all things, rapidly diminished the wolf god's stature. As the dazzling light faded, the true form of the wolf god was revealed. It was a purebred dog, its coat a lustrous black, with eyes gleaming like 2 azure gemstones. Its diminutive figure barely reached Ji Xian's calf, and at that moment, it was restrained by a black dog chain. "Behold your appearance," Ji Xian thought, conjuring a reflective mirror before the howling dog. "By the heavens, what have you done?" The howling dog opened its dainty mouth, yet the sound that emerged was gruff. Gazing at its reflection, its fur bristled, and in a fit of rage, it leaped in place. Suddenly, it began to weep. "What is this? Wasn't I supposed to be a majestic watchdog? Why have you reduced me to an infant?" Ji Xian paid no heed to its lamentations, shortening the chain, grasping the scruff of the little dog's neck, and lifted it as he strode towards the sect. Boom! The Heavenly Emperor's palace was summoned from Ji Xian's storage space, descending directly at the foot of Jinyun Mountain. The palace was immensely grand, its towering roof reaching halfway up the mountain, rendering the other structures of the outer sect minuscule in comparison. The weeping howling dog suddenly froze, staring blankly at the Heavenly Emperor's palace, as if it had deduced something. This scale is rather disproportionate and lacks aesthetic appeal, Ji Xian mused, holding the howling dog in his right hand while contemplating the resplendent palace before him. With a gentle press forward, he caused the Heavenly Emperor's palace to shrink rapidly, seamlessly integrating it into the surrounding architecture, thus forming a perfect palace complex. The outer sect was officially established. Ji Xian summoned the fearless divine chariot, and the vibrant colors of its screen shimmered as disciples emerged one after another. Hey, young master, where did you catch this little black dog? Aotian approached, tugging at the howling dog's drooping ear. Let go of me, you little brat. The howling dog shook its head vigorously, baring its teeth in defiance. Ji Xian had temporarily muted the dog's ability to speak, so now, aside from him, no one could understand the dog's words. The other disciples, drawn by the commotion, also approached with curiosity to observe the little dog. Lo and behold, this little black creature is rather fierce. Aotian extended both hands and seized the black dog's mouth. Young one, you are courting death. I shall accept these 2 hands on your behalf. The howling celestial hound became infuriated, baring its sharp-toothed maw and lunging to bite down. Yet, in the next moment, the scene of severed limbs he had envisioned did not materialize. Aotian's fair hands remained unscathed, not even the skin broken. What a nuisance. What are you up to, little pup? Aotian looked at his bitten finger in bewilderment. The howling celestial hound was utterly taken aback. He seemed to realize something and hastily summoned all his holy power. Not a shred left. His countenance changed as he discovered that Ji Xian had sealed all of his holy energy. But that does not make sense. Even if my power is sealed, I should still be able to bite through the hand of a mere junior cultivator in the holy realm. Gazing at the emerald dragon horns atop Aotian's head, the howling celestial hound became suspicious. Is this little brat's physique truly so formidable? A member of the Jiaolong clan? Then, he tapped into his race's sensing ability to discern Aotian's true nature. A true dragon. The revelation struck him like thunder, and his heart raced. How could a race from the ancient celestial era still exist in this world? It is said that during the creation of the 9 heavens and 10 earths, the 4 divine beasts, true dragon, white tiger, divine phoenix, and black tortoise, each governed their own realm, every one a formidable being of the immortal realm. The Sword Emperor of millions of years ago was a pure-blood white tiger, born in the ancient celestial era, who, for reasons unknown, descended upon the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The Sword Emperor perfected the path of slaughter inherent to the white tiger bloodline, wielding the extermination sword as he traversed the skies, achieving the title of Heavenly Emperor and suppressing an era. It was a time both awe-inspiring and sorrowful, as the brilliance of the Sword Emperor was so overwhelming that no prodigy or great sect could hold their heads high. After the Sword Emperor's demise, the 4 elemental races vanished entirely from the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Yet now, a young true dragon has appeared in the Xintian Dao sect. What could this signify? He fell into complete silence. The rise of the Xian Emperor was shrouded in mystery, especially with the acceptance of a true dragon such as this. It seems there is merit in remaining at the Xintian Dao sect. After all, my other self is safe for the time being. The day I seize the sect's secret treasures will be the day the iron hooves of the underworld mountain trample across the 3,000 states. Ha. The howling celestial hound's expression turned savage as he secretly laughed. He could almost envision Ji Xian groveling at his feet in desperation. Suddenly, a violent pain surged from his heart. The howling celestial hound's face turned pale as his head lowered, only to discover that Ji Xian had plunged a hand through his chest. Chapter 193. The Abandoned Deity. The Imperial Palace's Teachings. Cough. The howling celestial hound's chest cavity was brutally torn open by Ji Xian, and a bloody heart was extracted. You son of a... Gushing black blood erupted from his mouth, splattering onto the golden steps of the Heavenly Emperor's palace. Ji Xian held the pulsating holy heart aloft, and with a delicate flick of his fingers, a luminous mark emanating a ghostly glow floated forth. This was indeed the source mark of the howling celestial hound. Ching, come here. At the call, a woman clad in a flowing emerald dress glided over gracefully. Though she appeared in a translucent state, her graceful figure and exquisite visage remained strikingly prominent. Ji Xian extended his blood-stained finger, pressing it against Ching's brow, and began to chant silently. As the ancestral deity proclaimed, by the name of Ji Xian, I command the 3,000 divine spirits, merging the source of souls, and extinguishing the divine thoughts. The snarling Xiaotian dog, upon hearing this, contorted its face with a trace of disdain. How dare he, so soon after the emperor's ascension, presume to be a figure of significance? That primordial deity was conferred by me at the sacrificial altar of the underworld mountain. How could it be so easily dismissed? Even the former heavenly emperor could not withstand the might of the underworld mountain. Who do you think you are? If you succeed in abolishing it, I shall devour 100 pounds of dung. Suddenly, a mocking laughter echoed from afar. Xiaotian dog turned to see 2 white qilin reclining on an ancient tree halfway up Jinyan Mountain. They were the ethereal manifestations of divine beasts, exchanging glances and then looking at Xiaotian dog with mischievous grins. Xiaotian dog paused, realizing they could comprehend his words. Hadn't Ji Xian sealed his ability to communicate? No, these two were not ordinary Qilin. Xiao Tiandog squinted, preparing to use his wolf clan's perception to connect with the Qilin when a tremendous roar erupted from behind him. Boom. He turned around, stunned. There stood a colossal divine phantom, towering tens of thousands of feet high, its upper body enveloped in clouds, resembling a pillar supporting the heavens, positioned behind Ji Xian. Xiao Tiandog activated his divine eye, only to be astonished that he could not discern the essence of this deity. I refused to believe it. His eyes widened, straining to gaze upward. But in the next moment, blood poured from his vibrant blue eyes. Ah, my divine eye? What manner of being is this? Xiao Tiandog howled in agony as he nearly blinded himself with the martial arts divine eye he had refined over countless millennia. Now, he was intimidated and refrained from further probing. The divine phantom synchronized with Ji Xian's actions, extending its finger to point at Qingqing's brow. Instantly, a vast imperial might surged forth from Qingqing's being. A tempest swept through, disheveling the hair and garments of the onlooking disciples, who could hardly withstand this oppressive force, stumbling backward several miles. Especially the sisters Mo Yuling and Mo Yue, who, due to their slight weight, were immediately swept away by the gale. Had it not been for Ling Yun's towering form shielding them, they might have vanished into the horizon. Ying Zheng inhaled sharply, his primary focus on the path of fate, faintly sensing something extraordinary. It seemed as if something lurked behind his master. Who was this deity before him? Crack! The sound of shattering ice echoed as Qingqing's figure abruptly fragmented, dissolving into a cluster of bubbles. Threads of chaotic power descended, burrowing into the 3 lotus seeds within the lantern. Ji Xian nodded. This was nearly complete. Once my master prepares, I shall reconstruct your physical form. The lotus seeds within the green lantern trembled slightly, as if in response to Ji Xian. The astute fire spirit seemed to sense something, her beautiful eyes sparkling with curiosity. Do we have a little junior sister? Indeed, Ji Xian affirmed. Upon hearing this, the expressions of several disciples varied. Naturally, the most delighted was Sun Huang, who placed his hands on Ao Tian's shoulders, shaking the little fellow's frame with exuberance. Did you hear that, my old friend? I, son, am no longer the little junior brother. I have a junior sister now. Ao Tian's golden locks swayed as he trembled, nearly coming apart under Sun Huang's vigorous shaking. Ji Xian forcefully returned the heart to the body of the howling sky dog, provoking a round of curses from the black canine. He then stowed away the lantern and walked towards the heavenly emperor's palace, leaving his disciples with his retreating figure. Enter the palace. I am prepared to impart teachings. Yes. The disciples followed closely behind. Inside the imperial palace, the ground was pristine and smooth. Ancient and grand dragon pillars stood tall, and a crimson golden carpet unfurled into the depths of the palace, stretching endlessly. The howling sky dog trailed behind, devoid of any sacred power, his body healing slowly, stumbling as he walked, stopping every 3 steps, and nearly falling every 5. He gazed at the towering dragon pillars, utterly lost as to their destination. The ceiling of the palace loomed high above, an abyssal void devoid of stars, rendering it impossible to discern an end. This was indeed the heavenly emperor's palace. Who would have thought this young lad would attain it? If only my other incarnation were here, he would surely have no place. The howling sky dog grimaced. Jealousy nearly etched upon his face. Suddenly, the lights on the dragon pillars burst forth, illuminating the palace. Welcome back, Great One. The 4 deities of fortune, prosperity, longevity, and happiness emerged from the shadows, floating around Ji Xian, smiling and bowing respectfully. Ji Xian waved his hand and prepared several meditation cushions. This emperor is ready to impart teachings. Of course. Soon, several cushions radiating an aura of supreme presence were neatly arranged in the center of the grand hall. The disciples took their seats in turn. Ji Xian ascended the golden dais of the inner hall and sat upon the heavenly emperor's throne. In an instant, the sound of crashing waves echoed from behind the throne. A great sun and a golden moon rose from the horizon, revolving around each other, manifesting a realm of its own. The disciples gazed upward, their expressions dazed, momentarily lost in reverie. This was no mere phenomenon. It was distinctly an independent world. Ji Xian sat cross-legged amidst the vastness of heaven and earth, separated by countless miles from them, as if they were gazing across a chasm, not sharing the same space or time. Incredible. Even the howling sky dog was spellbound. Among the myriad emperors of the 9 heavens and 10 earths, he belonged to the youngest cohort and had never witnessed the grandeur of the former heavenly emperor's palace. Now, upon witnessing it, he could not help but marvel. At that moment, Ji Xian's gaze shifted towards him. If you are not to listen, then leave. Whoosh. Before the howling sky dog could react, he found himself teleported outside the palace gates. Bang! The massive gates of the palace closed, and a dark chain appeared, binding him to one of the dragon pillars. Humph. If you won't let me listen, so be it. What is so impressive about it? We are all great emperors. Your teachings may not even interest me. Today, should I heed even a modicum of advice, I would consume 100 pounds of excrement on the spot. The howling celestial hound strode out in a huff, leaning against a pillar as it settled down. A hum resonated as the radiant quintessence of colors spilled forth from the crevice of the imperial palace, accompanied by ethereal melodies. A divine and transcendent voice recited the eternal scripture that defies the passage of time. In an instant, phantasmal beasts from the heavens manifested, gathering in unison at this location. Seated upon the clouds, attentively listening. They were apparitions of beings from various epochs within the river of time, each one an existence of profound significance. At this moment, they revealed a mark of life in the present era, hearkening to Ji Xian's teachings. Goodness, this Ji fellow truly possesses remarkable depth. The howling celestial hound felt a stir of emotion. Merely upon hearing a fragment of the reverberation, its recently attained imperial realm was firmly consolidated. Should I draw near to listen? To glean his secrets, such an endeavor is indeed warranted. With audacity, it lifted its paw and tiptoed closer. As for the oath just uttered, it had long since been cast aside. The howling celestial hound ascended the threshold, twisting its body to peek through the crevice. Outrage. Suddenly, Ji Xian's resounding shout echoed within its mind, plunging its vision into darkness and causing a buzzing in its brain. Bang! Following his words, a beam of white light shot forth from the crevice, striking the howling celestial hound directly, and the black leash shattered instantaneously. The hound was propelled by an immense force, soaring several hundred miles before crashing violently into a great mountain. Struggling to rise, it opened its maw and expelled a mouthful of dry earth. Curse it. Chapter 194. Planting flowers, transmitting teachings in return within the imperial palace. Divine sounds resonated. Ji Xian sat cross-legged in the ethereal realm, seemingly separated from the present by eons. At this moment, he was enveloped in chaotic light, with everything around him shrouded in obscurity, rendering visibility impossible. Were it not for the celestial recitation echoing, several disciples might have assumed Ji Xian had departed. From the outside, the entire heavenly emperor palace radiated with violet rays, gently trembling and releasing purple auroras that soared towards the heavens. An ancient golden hall resonated with the Tao, vibrating in harmony with the cosmos, as if the heavenly emperor himself were in attendance. The discourse lasted for 2 years. Today, I shall impart a portion of the fruit of the Tao to you, which you may refine on your own. This will benefit your cultivation. Once completed, you may choose to leave the sect and venture forth to gain experience. Upon concluding, Ji Xian flicked his fingertip, and several translucent fruits appeared before him. These were the fruits of the myriad divine trees within him. The paths of fire, sword, and others had merged into the profound womb, existing as integral parts of Ji Xian. They blossomed and bore fruit upon the myriad divine tree, symbolizing the flourishing of these paths. With a swish, several fruits transformed into streams of light, darting out of this small realm and landing in the arms of several disciples. The fruits gleamed with brilliance, exuding a rich aura of immortality, each with a unique form. In Ling Yun's hand was a sword-shaped fruit, while Huoling held one radiating with 5 colored flames, corresponding to the respective paths each disciple had cultivated. Now, let us proceed. I must reconstruct the physical body of your junior sister. Ji Xian spoke, his light and ethereal voice soothing the spirit and providing immense relaxation. Following the grand ceremony, the gates of the imperial palace closed, and several disciples departed in succession. Seated in his secluded realm, Ji Xian suddenly opened his eyes and retrieved 3 chaos lotus seeds. I pay my respects to my master, echoed the melodious voice of Qingqing from within the seeds. Ji Xian simply acknowledged before falling into silence once more. He was diligently searching through the system space for treasures to prepare for Qingqing's reincarnation. After a considerable interval, he produced the eternal divine spring, celestial soil, enlightenment tea leaves, and Bodhi seeds among other items. Countless shimmering orbs floated in Ji Xian's hands, each a rare treasure seldom seen in the world. The eternal divine spring, an essential divine water for cultivating the elixir of immortality, was invaluable. Once this spring water emerged, it often incited a frenzy among the major sects, captivating countless extraordinary talents and emperors throughout history. Even a single drop could assist an emperor-level figure in attaining enlightenment. In the realms of heaven and earth, a single eternal divine spring could nurture an elixir of immortality. Yet, what Ji Xian held was akin to the expanse of a lake. As Qingqing's essence was that of a blue lotus, Ji Xian prepared treasures specifically for cultivating plants. He excavated a small pit in the crimson celestial soil, placing the 3 lotus seeds within, as this was the essence of Qingqing. To recreate her physical form, one must begin with the essence. Thus, every few days, Ji Xian would water the seeds, alternating day and night, with the stars revolving around them, unaware of how much time had passed. This was a lengthy process for Qingqing. As an ancient chaos lotus that opened the heavens, excelled above all beings, even surpassing innate races. In the 5th year, a new sprout emerged from the celestial soil. Qingqing's consciousness revived, and she conversed extensively with Ji Xian. Born from chaos, she had witnessed the cosmos divide and the earth transform. Living through 9 lifetimes and experiencing the zeniths and nadirs of the 9 heavens and 10 earths, she recounted that millions of years ago, There were indeed immortals in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. However, due to a great calamity and the onset of darkness, all beings became embroiled in conflict. Tensions escalated for an extended period, leading to a significant upheaval. That battle caused mountains to topple and skies to darken, shattering the universe, claiming the lives of countless immortals during that era. According to Qingqing, the calamity was abnormal, arriving too abruptly, as if someone were deliberately orchestrating it. Most were unprepared, meeting untimely deaths. The forces led by Ming Mountain also suffered great losses during that turmoil. Yet, their obsession with the power of calamity had reached an unbearable extent. Even in death, they sought to spread it throughout heaven and earth. She had once attained the status of an emperor, but as her lifespan waned, she was compelled to sever part of herself to preserve her legacy for future generations. Unfortunately, Qingqing's memories were fragmented, unable to recount all her past experiences. Years passed, one after another. By the 10th year, Ji Xian slowly opened his eyes. Before him, Qingqing had grown to a height of 1 foot. System, restore cultivation. Calculating cultivation. 10 years prior, Ji Xian had bestowed upon his disciple a Dao fruit that encompassed both a portion of his cultivation and his comprehension of the great Dao. A decade has elapsed, and the disciples should have refined their skills considerably. Detection indicates a successful transmission of power, triggering a return of 4,112,000 times. Attained 27 layers of cultivation. The cultivation of the Dharma aspect realm is divided into 9 levels. Of course, this is merely applicable to ordinary emperors, who can only condense a single imperial aura, thereby cultivating just 1 Dharma aspect. However, Ji Xian is different. Within him resides 6 imperial auras: fire, sword, space, creation, chaos, and the transparent little figure. This signifies that he must condense each Dharma aspect, necessitating the cultivation of 54 levels. This will be a protracted endeavor, possibly requiring hundreds or even thousands of years. Yet, Ji Xian remains unfazed. Being in the prime of youth, he possesses ample lifespan. Furthermore, the Dharma aspect of the Emperor realm, unlike ordinary incarnations, boasts combat prowess on par with the main body. Ultimately, as he reaches the pinnacle, the Dharma aspect can merge with the main body, unleashing unparalleled power. This undoubtedly represents a significant enhancement for Ji Xian, who can already combat across several tiers. Once the 6 Dharma aspects are condensed and unified, even the supreme beings of this era may find it challenging to contend with him. Integrating cultivation, Ji Xian murmurs. Boom. A vast reservoir of cultivation emerges from the primordial womb, ascending along the spine towards the crown of the tree. A crystalline blue light traverses the trunk, surging towards the pinnacle of supremacy. Ji Xian once again enters a state of tranquility. In the courtyard outside the Heavenly Emperor Palace, several disciples sequentially break through their barriers, advancing in their realms. Ha ha ha, I've broken through to the Sacred King, Sun Huang exclaims, emerging from a stone cave while wielding an iron staff and laughing heartily. Buzz. A golden spear pierces the clouds, descending with force to embed itself in a mountain, as Ao Tian's figure materializes. This sequence of actions flows seamlessly, akin to water. His golden hair dances in the wind, and a hint of heroism has emerged in his features, no longer bearing the innocence of his former self. I too have become a sacred king. Mo Yuling and Mo Yue giggle joyfully, clapping their small hands in celebration. Roar. Congratulations to both junior disciples. The two have refined Ji Xian's Dao fruit and have successfully ascended to the Sacred Lord realm. They leisurely ride atop a wonton, enjoying their time. The Taisu Chaos Worm has slumbered for decades, now attaining the Sacred King realm. Such chaotic beings can swiftly break through solely by absorbing the energies of heaven and earth, especially in this era of revived spiritual energy. Ling Yun, Huoling, and Ing Zheng also emerge from their seclusion, reaching the Sacred Lord realm. Has Master not yet emerged? Ling Yun inquires. Not yet. Mo Yuling shakes her head. Sigh. It has been nearly 20 years, and he remains in seclusion. Is this the nature of cultivation for an emperor-level expert? A single retreat equates to a lifetime for ordinary mortals. Ling Yun laments, recalling his mother who perished due to the depletion of her lifespan. Whoosh. The void trembles as the Emperor Rider steps forth. Approaching the group, he kneels in reverence. Young masters, there is a cultivator named Shi Tianyu requesting an audience outside. Shall I let him in? Chapter 195. A hasty few decades in the plaza of the outer sect, Shi Tianyu strides forth from the void. He observed several individuals standing in the center of the square and performed a respectful bow. Shi Tianyu had previously encountered a few comrades, and Ling Yun and the others, not daring to be remiss, returned the gesture. After all, with Ji Xian absent, they were the masters of the sect, representing the facade of the Xuantiando sect. Brother Shi. Ao Tian stepped forward to initiate a conversation. This gentleman had once saved his life in the city of Qingguang, and Ao Tian held him in high regard. Shi Tianyu smiled. Ah, it is Brother Ao. I left in such haste last time that I did not have the opportunity to bid farewell to you all. I hope for your understanding. Brother Shi, you flatter me. Ao Tian waved his hand dismissively. I have come to see the Xian Emperor. I possess a letter from my father, the Reincarnation Emperor, which he entrusted me to deliver personally to the Xian Emperor. As he spoke, Shi Tianyu retrieved a golden envelope from his bosom, adorned with a blue reincarnation seal. Ao Tian did not reach out to take it. Alas, my lord is currently in seclusion, and it may take some time. It would be better for you, Brother Shi, to rest temporarily at Xuantiando sect until my lord emerges from his retreat, at which point you may deliver it in person. No one present voiced any objections to Ao Tian's unilateral decision. This man had greatly aided them in vanquishing countless foes in Qingguang City. Shi Tianyu, hearing this, felt a surge of joy and promptly nodded in agreement. Very well, I shall trouble you for hospitality then. In truth,